I'll call to order this April 13, 2026 meeting of the Chelmsford Select Board. If you'd all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and before we get to the meat of our meeting, just a couple quick announcements. First of all, this meeting is being televised by Chelmsford Telemedia and recorded for later broadcast. Also, you may notice a couple new faces here at the table. First of all, John Curlin was elected to the Select Board last week.
My face is hardly new.
It's been a while anyway. How's that? And to my left is Dave Bovair, newly elected to the Select Board, who is a new clerk. And Jeff Hardy is joining us remotely today. He is out of town, and he is the new vice chair. And I was privileged to be selected as the chair for the current Select Board. So with that, I will turn it over to Jeff for public service announcements.
Did I do both proclamations back to back?
If you want to do the first one first, we have the folks here that will help us celebrate the Armenian one, and then we can do we have somebody here to talk to us about the Arbor Day one. So let's do the Armenian one, and do you guys want to do a picture like we usually do? Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, so once you read that, we'll do a picture. So,
Okay.
there you go.
Town of Chelmsford proclamation in honor of Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day, April 24th, 2026. Whereas Armenians fled the increasing oppression from the Ottoman government during the 20th century, coming to America in search of freedom, where they could live in dignity without fear and oppression. And whereas, like many ethnic groups, Armenians settled in Chelmsford, seeking a safe place to live, raise their families, practice their religion, educate their children, they became an asset of growth and vitality for the town of Chelmsford through their work ethic, family values, civic pride. And whereas the Armenian community of Chelmsford is comprised of children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of the survivors of the Armenian genocide. And whereas 1.5 million Armenian men, women, and children, victims of the genocide, perished in the Ottoman Empire from 1950 to 1923. Now, therefore, the Chelmsford Select Board does hereby issue this proclamation in remembrance of the Armenian genocide of 1950 and urge all residents to take part in this observation. Signed this 13th day of April, 2026.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do our picture, and then we'll come back for the second proclamation.
Short message?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening. My name is Arajak Navorian, 4 Percheron Road, Chelmsford, and I'm here representing several hundred Armenian local citizens of Chelmsford and the Armenian National Committee of the Merrimack Valley. On behalf of the Armenian community of Chelmsford, we extend our deep appreciation to the town of Chelmsford for helping us to remind residents of the Armenian genocide, which at the hands of the Turkish Ottoman Empire claimed the lives of over 1.5 million Armenian men, women, and children from 1915 to 1923. Chelmsford is just one of about 15 local towns where Armenians have gone to their select boards to have a proclamation issued. So we're very proud of Chelmsford. Essentially, every Armenian resident here this evening and in the town is a child, grandchild, or great-grandchild of a survivor of the Armenian genocide. My father, Abraham, and George Simonian's mother, I think all of you know George Simonian, right? As teenagers, they fled Turkey. They were smuggled out of Turkey and arrived in America in 1918, never to go back to their home, never to see many of their sisters, brothers, and parents. Chelmsford has always been a welcoming community to Armenians fleeing oppression in different parts of the world, especially the Middle East as well as Azerbaijan. For the past 48 years, Chelmsford has been the home of St. Vartanant's Armenian Church on 180 Old Westford Road, which has its roots in Lowell, Massachusetts, where the original founders of the church, having escaped the genocide, built the first St. Vartanant's Church some 110 years ago. Father Khachadur, I'm afraid she's here today. Thank you. Father Khachadur, also a very happy resident of Chelmsford, leads a parish of some 500 families spread throughout the Merrimack Valley in southern New Hampshire. With today's proclamation, not only does the town of Chelmsford honor the hallowed memory of the men, women, and children who perished during the Armenian genocide, but all the victims of genocide and Holocaust. We stand proud here in Chelmsford, vowing never to forget their sacrifice and their martyrdom. Let me close by extending a hearty appreciation to Town Manager Paul Cohen, who every year has been so welcoming to our annual petition. Now, we understand Paul is taking on a new position in the town of Exeter. So no worries, Paul. We've already alerted the Exeter Armenians you're coming. Thank you very much. And we would enjoy a picture if possible with it.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the proclamation is here or is it? Oh, super. Yeah. Tyler,
Thank you so much.
from the middle.
Right here. George.
Right here? Good.
Am I doing it right?
Now watch your fingers now.
Oh, I know. Perfect.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it
Thank
very
you so
much.
much, everyone. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I sure will. Great. We got the fire station, so pretty fast. I'm on the corner. That's right. That's good of you.
Okay, Jeff, we're ready for the second proclamation?
Okay, Town of Chelmsford in celebration of Arbor Day, April 24th, 2026. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday shall be called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind, water, and cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and whereas trees for our community. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business area, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board, do hereby proclaim April 24th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the town of Chelmsford, and urge all its citizens to protect our trees and woodlands, and to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote well-being of this and future generations, to take part in this program to celebrate Arbor Day. Signed this 13th day of April 2026.
Okay, thanks, Judge. Jeff, and just so you know, a couple times in there you broke up, so, but I think we all know the Arbor Day proclamation, and it'll be read on Arbor Day. So Kate Crawford, I think, is here to tell us a little bit about Arbor Day.
Hey, everyone. We're going to celebrate Arbor Day on the last Friday, which is traditional, of April, which is April 24th. We're going to have our ceremony at 12 noon, and we're going to plant a tree with the cooperation of the DPW in front of the town offices. If you're standing at the front entrance to town offices, it'll be replacing the dead tree to the right. So what we've chosen this year, after a tour of Weston Nurseries, was a Royal Raindrops flowering crabapple tree. And they're very hardy and disease resistant, and it should look pretty. It has pink flowers. I'll give you a flyer so you can kind of see it. And I've already communicated with the DPW, and I will also let the tree committee know and all the members of the garden club. And of course, we're letting the public know. Everybody's invited. So 12 noon on the 24th here at town offices, and we'll christen the tree.
trade you. Thank you. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's a beautiful tree.
Okay, Jeff, I know you have a couple more public service announcements.
Public
You can-
announcements, yes.
Please.
And I apologize for my earbuds. They seem to be failing me lately. If you miss something, I will start over. Just let me know.
Okay.
And keeping in theme with the beautification of the townwide cleanup is Saturday, April 18th to Saturday, April 26th. Please join Chelmsford's annual townwide cleanup by helping to pick up litter along Chelmsford's roads, neighborhoods, parks, and recreation areas. Plan for your week of Saturday, April 18th to Sunday, April 26th. Volunteers are urged to wear bright colored clothing to avoid stepping in the streets while working whenever possible. Please bring your yellow bags to your home curbside. They will be picked up with the regular trash until Friday, May 1st, or call for other arrangements. You can register online. There is a website that you might be able to see on that screen. Or you can sign up at the DPW at 9 Alpha Road and pick up yellow bags between April 13th and 24th during regular hours. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Friday, 7 a.m. to noon. Any questions, call Chris Haley, the Sustainability Manager, at 978-250-5203, or email him chaley@chelmsfordma.gov. Also, spring annual town meeting is Monday, April 27th at 7:30 Senior Center, 75 Groton Road. The spring annual town meeting will convene at 7:30 on April 27th at the Senior Center at 75 Groton Road. A copy of the spring annual town meeting warrant is available now on the town's website. Any resident of the town who is not an elected town meeting member may attend the sessions of the meeting and participate in questions and answers during discussion portions and proceedings. Links to the town meeting presentation document and the Finance Committee's warrant book will be found at the town meeting webpage at least 1 week prior to town meeting. And the Chelmsford Friends of the Library book sale is Friday, May 1st, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, May 2nd, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and a large selection of fiction, non-fiction, children's books, DVDs, and CDs are available. There is a members-only event Thursday, April 30th from 5 to 8 p.m. with lower crowds and best selection. Join the Friends of the Library to attend. Go to chelmsfordlibraryfriends.org/membership. And there is a Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Teachers, Educator, and Literacy group for free books. Chelmsford Friends of the Library is located at Town Hall Gym at 50 Billerica Road, parking end behind the Town Hall.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. All right, next up is general public input. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board during this part of the meeting? And just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chris LaValle, 10 Edgewood Street. I am here tonight as a Precinct 10 town meeting rep and as a East Chelmsford Water District client. I saw the meeting a few meetings ago where you talked about the consolidation of the water districts report, and I just wanted to say that I am wholeheartedly in support of that effort to get more information. In this past month's water bill, we received notice that the district, East Chelmsford Water District, is increasing our rates for next quarter. We're starting next quarter. The rates are currently $9.48 per 1,000 gallons. As of June 1st, they're increasing to $11 per quarter, per 1,000. So, actually, I'm not actually clear if it's increasing by $11 or to $11. It says the increase will be $11 per quarter. So it could go all the way up to $20 per quarter rate. I'm not sure. I still have to contact the water district. But this communication alone, plus the rate increase, really concerns me. So I would encourage you to keep pushing forward with that consolidation report and getting the cooperation of the water districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? And again, you have 3 minutes.
Brian Latina, I'm a town meeting rep, have been for 30 years, and town resident, 15 Jesse Road is my address. I'm here to talk just briefly about the warrant article 29 that's coming up. It is designed to reverse the decision at the last town meeting.
Okay, Mr. Latina, just so you know, we will be making recommendations today, and since you submitted that article, that citizen petition, if you'd rather wait till then to make your make a presentation, would allow you to do that.
Later this evening, is it?
Correct.
I didn't see it in the agenda, is all.
Okay, yeah.
It's there?
Yep.
Number
Okay.
7.
Help.
It's agenda number 7 on the agenda. Item number
Okay.
7.
Yeah,
I'll wait
it's-
then.
it's-
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll.
We can take them out of order, too.
Yes, and we'll
as a
take you
courtesy,
first, as a
courtesy.
courtesy, so, okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No, there's not for the public input.
Okay. All right, so next up is the committee vacancies. Jeff, if you want to list those for us.
Okay, as of 4/13/26, we have one unexpired 3-year term ending 6/30/27, the age permanent implementation. TCA Town Hall, about 3 again, one unexpired 3-year term, 6/30/28.
Okay, Jeff, Jeff, you're breaking up again.
You might, maybe if you turn the camera
Better
off,
now?
maybe if you,
Yeah.
or if you have to turn the camera off, that would also save some of the bandwidth if it's a signal issue.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. The Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee, one unexpired term, 3-year term ending 6/30/28. The Commission on Disabilities has one unexpired 3-year term ending 6/30/2026. Also, 2 unexpired 3-year terms ending 6/30/2027. And there's another 2 unexpired 3-year terms ending 6/30/2028. The Council on Aging has one unexpired 3-year term ending 6/30/2026. The Cultural Council has one unexpired 3-year term ending 6/30/2028. The Holiday Decorating Committee has 4 unexpired 1-year terms ending 12/31/26. The Military Covenant Task Force, Military Community Covenant Task Force has one unexpired 3-year term ending 6/30/2026. And the Parade Committee is desperately in need of help. We're coming up on the parade, and I encourage anybody who's interested, please come to a meeting. They're meeting tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Center for the Arts, and learn about what we do. If you are interested in serving on a town board or a committee, please complete an online application available on the town website. For more information, please contact the town manager's office at 978-250-5202 or tmoffice@chelmsfordma.gov.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Okay, we're on to licenses now. First license this evening is change of manager on the all alcohol beverage restaurant license for Bertucci's. Is there somebody here?
Our representatives from Bertucci's are on Zoom this evening.
Okay. Do we have somebody to tell us what this request is?
Yes, good evening. My name's Dawson Cooper. I'm an attorney at Upton, Cannell, and Devlin, representing Bertucci's Restaurant LLC. Bertucci's has submitted an application for a change of manager. With me tonight is the proposed new manager of record, Cheyenne Luna. Cheyenne is a United States citizen and a Massachusetts resident. She has extensive experience in the food and beverage industry and has worked at this location for the past 7 years in various roles. She's also familiar with the rules and regulations concerning the sale and service of alcohol in Massachusetts. Nothing operationally is going to be changing at this location. This application is being done to maintain the ABCC records in light of staff changes at the restaurant. With that, Cheyenne and I are happy to answer any questions the board may have, and we want to thank you for your time.
Okay, I guess, I'll start with a couple questions based on what you just said. According to the application, Cheyenne, it said she's not a U.S. citizen. Did she fill that out incorrectly? She marked the circle for no. Are you a U.S. citizen, qualified alien, under the Immigration and Nationality Act?
Yeah, it's my understanding she is. She's here. She can answer that question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that may have been a mistake, but I am a U.S. citizen. I was born here.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about before we open it up to other questions from the board? Okay, anybody else?
I think we're open to questions.
Okay, anyone on the board have any questions for this applicant?
Yeah,
Aaron?
thank you. I think one of the questions was just answered. I saw the same thing you did, Pat, with the checkbox on the citizenship. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hooper, but you said Cheyenne has been there for the last 7 years because it's not documented here in the application. So what's the role been for the last 7 years?
Yeah, so she can add on to this, but my understanding was she started as a takeout employee and then was promoted throughout the ranks. So we haven't had to put this application forth until this point. She wasn't the manager of record, but with recent promotions, she's taking on that role.
Okay. Pat?
Any other questions? Okay. Jeff Hardy, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the change of here for the application for Bertucci's Restaurant, LLC.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, we have to roll call vote since one of our members is remote. So Jeff?
Aye.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes, 5-0. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
next up is a common victular license for Wonder HDR Holdings. Is anybody here for this application?
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. My name's Daniel Brennan. I handle permits and licenses for Wonder. Here for a new common victular license, no alcohol, at 90 Drum Hill Road, formerly Orange Theory Fitness Center. Wonder is a new quick service concept that's expanding rapidly with over 95 operating locations. A few recent openings in Massachusetts are Watertown, Natick, Newton, Framingham, Acton, and Burlington. We're also working on opening about another 15 locations this year in New England. Wonder is a food hall concept, making where to order from an easy choice. With 15 to 20 different menus and cuisines, the choices seem endless. At Wonder, they've partnered with renowned chefs and restaurants to recreate their recipes under one platform. At Wonder, you can get a Bobby Flay steak dinner, a Marcus Samuelson fried chicken dinner, gourmet salads, burgers, pizza, Italian, Mexican, barbecue, all under one order. At this location is 3,500 square feet, mostly kitchen, but it does have a dining area with 26 seats. Requested hours are 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days. Hoping to open end of June. It's under construction now. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for this application?
One question.
Okay, Jeff,
I do.
go ahead.
Yes. Is this going to operate similar to like a food court in a mall?
No,
Just out of curiosity.
No, it's still going to be the size of a typical quick service restaurant. So there'll be order kiosks when you walk in, and you'll see they also have a Wonder app where you can sift through all the menus and make the order that way. So it's mostly dine in,
Fantastic.
pick up, take out.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve a common vicular license for Wonder,
Seconded.
sorry, Wonder HDR Holdings of Massachusetts to be exercised at the premises of 90 Drum Hill Road.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will be a roll call vote. Jeff?
Aye.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Aye.
And I'm aye, 5-0. Okay, so, good luck.
Thank you very much.
and
Thank you.
See you soon, I hope.
Appreciate it.
All right. And our next license is also a common victual license for Polk Brothers, Chelmsford. Anybody here for Polk Brothers? Am I saying that right, or is it
Yeah, Pokey Bros.
Pokey Brothers?
Yeah.
Okay, my mother used to call some of my siblings Pokes, so I thought maybe it was related to them.
Hello, board members. This is Tao Wu. I'm the Transfer Pokey Bros LLC, the owners. So the location, here's the new location in Transfer. It's like the fourth one. So we have 4 stores in here. One's a River Falls, Westwood, Bedford, and here's the newest fourth one on the Transfer. It's like a 1,300 square foot. It's like a kind of like quick restaurant, like a serving food, almost simply like a open kitchen serving in front of the customer. So we have like a menu, so customer can pick whatever they want. Sorry, it's the first time I'm wondering what I'm saying. So.
This is your chance to make a commercial for your restaurant.
I don't like introduce for my restaurant, so yeah. It's like a quick serving food kind of business, so it's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, little bit nervous.
Okay, all right. Okay, are there any questions from the board? Okay, Jeff, if you don't have any questions, we'll take a motion.
I'll make that we approve a common vicular's license for Pokey Brothers Chelmsford LLC located at 53 Drum Hill Road.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so it'll be a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave? John?
Aye.
And I'm a yes. Okay, congratulations and
Thank you so much. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
good luck. All right. Okay, next up, Christine Clancy is going to give us a report on the Traffic Safety Committee request.
Good evening and welcome new select board members, Madam Chair. So thank you. So monthly, the Traffic Advisory Committee meets and we talk, as it's made up of DPW, police, fire, town manager's office, and we talk about the current traffic items around, that are around town, topics that are brought forth, whether it was something we observe or if something's brought forth by the community. And we do talk monthly. And from that, action items sometimes come up. Sometimes it's as simple as putting up, or taking down a sign. But there also are actions that have to be voted on by this board. And so before you tonight are just 2 requests we wanted to bring before you. One, I'm going to be talking about the proposal to create a restricted left turn lane on Billricker Road at Alpha Road. And then also create a no parking zone at the McKay Library on the Newfield, adjacent to Newfield and Mansfield Streets. These are 2 requirements that would have to be implemented into our E-code, and so requires approval by the board. So the first, Billricker Road at Alpha Road. So I do know this when this is really en route to the DPW. So when this came before us, this actually came before us as something we've been watching over probably the past 6 months or a year. I travel all this all the time because in looking at this picture, DPW, that's Alpha Road on the left. Right now, Billricker Road is 2 lanes, and there are a series of lights as you get on Billricker Road. Right now, you can travel. You can travel straight through on Billricker Road, but you can also turn left to the new development on the right. You can turn right onto the new development or left onto Alpha Road. I've experienced it too, whereas when you're trying to turn left onto Alpha Road, you're slowing down because you have traffic coming the other way. And sometimes we have people honking on the horn to say like you're not going fast enough. I've experienced it several times. But aside from that, we've also had some accidents at this intersection, and that's really what caused us to evaluate, potentially could we do something to improve the safety at this intersection. Just within the past 6 months, we actually had a rollover at this intersection, and it was someone was stopping to turn onto Alpha. Someone was rear-ended, and that vehicle flipped over. So with that more concern of a...
Your attention, please. There has been a fire alarm reported in the building.
Jeff, I think we're hearing something from your, I think
Okay.
it's from Jeff,
Yeah, I
right?
think it's from Jeff,
hope
yeah,
so.
because we don't have that kind of an audio.
I don't think it's us.
Yeah, I just muted my.
Okay.
So with, now that we're seeing accidents, more minor, but in this case, a car flipped over. We brought it before the board, so we need to look at this. So the proposal here is to adjust the traffic pattern here. So the proposal would to maintain obviously the one lane on Bill Ricker Road, but that left turn that turns onto Alpha Road, just make it a left turn only. It's a fairly inexpensive change. We would have to do some modifications to the signal head. We did receive a quote, it's just about $5,000 for the signal head. Plus we would put some advanced signage as you're approaching that intersection. So this is all could be incorporated probably within the next month or implemented. This being a new traffic pattern, we would also put out variable message boards just alerting people of the new traffic pattern change. So with your approval, we would again be able to implement this probably in the next month. I don't know if you want to go over both of them.
Well, why don't we see if anyone has any questions
Sure.
about this one? Anyone have any questions? So this is going to be similar to if you're on Route 4 coming, say, from Vinyl Square towards Drum Hill at Technology Drive there.
Exactly, and I drive that all the time too, because that's up in my neck of the woods too. And I was thinking, because one thing you could do here is you could potentially add some tape. We thought about adding some tapering, so you taper down to one lane and have a turning pocket. But you do have an intersection just on the intersections here are really right on top of each other. So we would propose to not necessarily do any type of striping to create a turn pocket. We would just, right after. We would just have this turning lane. But yes, very similar, because when you're going down North Road, that is a left turn lane. It does,
right.
That has a longer stretch of road between Princeton Street and Technology Drive. So there is some markings there. But here we would just do it with a sign change or just a signage and with the traffic signal.
Okay.
Yes, very similar.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, I like that, because on the other side of that intersection, you got two lanes merging into one. It's a recipe for disaster, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Alpha Road, DPW has been there, but we see a lot more traffic. I know there's a lot more growth just in that area, so there's definitely a need to, we didn't do a traffic count, but there's definitely a fairly frequent request for turning onto Alpha Road.
So coming back, towards the Route 3, leading up to this, that is pretty short. So is it just going to be obviously the signage warning to change, but is it just going to be the one arrow, or is there going to be other signaling on the
So it's just going to be
striping?
the one arrow. So we're going to change the arrow on the pavement, but we also will put some signage, probably on both sides, just warning people, and probably at the intersection. Because it's a new traffic pattern, we also would use some variable message boards, probably for at least 2 weeks before, to make people aware of the change.
It can be a little bit of a drag strip sometimes, with both coming out of the light in front of, when you get onto Bill Ricker Road there, all the way up to that merge, which I don't like either, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, did you say it's going to be in both directions or just heading
No,
towards the
it's just in this
center?
direction,
Okay.
but the intersection is not shown, but there's an intersection just before this that is really on top of it. So we were talking about that advanced signage almost has to be at that intersection. So when you're standing there saying next intersection, like showing that traffic pattern. I can think of a few other communities that have that, where there's this intersections right on top of each other. So as you're kind of cued in that, at the previous intersection, where you have to be, because the next intersection is really very close by. So we'll probably start that signage up at that intersection. But coming from the other direction, coming from town offices towards Route 3, there's no change in that direction.
Okay. All right. Jeff, if you don't have any questions, why don't we take a motion on this request?
We just want a motion on the request only and not the no parking in McKay, or we're gonna do that after?
We're gonna do that as soon as we finish this motion.
Okay, Christine, I apologize. The hotel fire alarm was going off, so I don't see any danger from where I'm sitting, but we'll find out. I'll make a motion, we create a restricted left turn lane onto Barica Road at Alpha Road.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So it'll be a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. So it's
Thank
5-0.
you. So the second request before you tonight is to add some signage at the McKay Library, which is adjacent to both Mansur and Newfield Streets. We recently redid that parking lot. Also, we have charging stations there. And so some of the observations from our police department and I think also DPW is that sometimes cars are parking on that side of Mansur Street and Newfield Street directly adjacent to the library, and the sight distance is blocked as people enter or exit that parking lot. Also, the pavement widths for both Mansur, they're fairly narrow, so if people were to actually park on either side of the street, it becomes difficult to maintain 2 lanes of traffic. So we do believe it is warranted. So the proposal would be to add no parking signs. This is a residential area. No parking signs really in that frontage adjacent to the McKay Library, adjacent to the parking lot. So you now have no sight distance obstructions because you have no vehicles allowed to park in those areas. We measured about 60 feet on either side, which is equivalent to about 3 spaces. You know, but you also aren't allowed to park within 20 feet of an intersection, so it's probably closer to 4 or 5 spaces. 5 spaces. So the proposal would be, you know, so for sight distance concerns, and also just to, you know, also prevent a conflict with having 2 parking lanes and 2 lanes of travel.
Yeah, I go up there a lot in the summertime for the concerts that they have, and I know that's probably when it mostly happens, right?
Yes, I mean, that's the thing, I think sometimes though, it might even be people parking just for the library. I know the library has more hours, so I don't know if there's a spillover from the library, but yes, during the summer, there's a lot more of a need for parking, and that really spills over from Varney, and so sometimes it can continue down, all the way down here towards Newfield Street.
Okay. Now, is library staff aware of this request that we're making?
I have communicated to Leslie, but I haven't shown her this exact figure, but we did talk about what we were implementing, but yes.
Okay, all right, just so they can kind of direct the people that come to listen to the concert somewhere else to park. I'm sure
Yes.
that'll be helpful.
Yep. Yeah, for the library concerts, yes, we will, yes, that should be fine. Because usually in that area, people aren't parking in that immediate area anyway. I think they usually have it roped off. Also, before we finished the parking lot, it was more open, so I don't think people were parking. And so now that we've closed that parking lot and created a curbing, so I think it's more of a recent change where people were parking on Mansur Street, because before the parking lot was more just open to Mansur Street.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Christine about this request?
I assume that the residents in the general area are supportive of this.
We haven't done a particular outreach, but I would think so. I mean, it is everyone pretty much has driveways in that area, and so the parking needs are more related to events either at Varney or events at the library.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Jeff, if you don't have any questions, we'll take a motion on this one.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow DPW to add no parking signs adjacent to McKay Library on Mansur Street and Newfield Street.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. 5-0. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See?
All right, now we're going to start our recommendations for the annual Springtown meeting warrant articles. We'll go through all of them this evening, and so first up, since Mr. Latina is here and he has a citizen petition on the warrant, we will let him make the first presentation for Article 29?
26.
27.
26.
26.
26. Thank you again. Brian Latina, Precinct 9 Town Meeting Rep for about 30 years. and 15 Jesse Road's my address. Warrant article, I guess it's now 26, up to reverse the warrant article 29 from the last town meeting. This article basically changed our 40-year definition of family related to zoning from familial arrangement to basically anyone definition. The family definition during town meeting, it was described to us as the Attorney General came and told us we need to change our definition, or it might be good to do that based on federal law. Well, the federal law's been around for about 40, 50 years, actually 1968, and they changed it a few times. So there doesn't seem to be any reason for that outside of trying to manipulate our town bylaws to what the state likes. And looking at what we did, there was an example, Commonwealth versus Jaffe, as an example of where we had a definition of family. And I believe that we actually got that wrong. The definition of family in that particular case, almost 40 years ago, was just the opposite of what we said at town meeting. It wasn't that we had a definition that didn't support family, and it was just the opposite. The Supreme Judicial Court said that it accepted the family definition based on relationships versus what we were told at town meeting. So we believe that if you look at the SJC's acceptance of the Black Law Dictionary as the professional reference, where that example was given to us, I'm concerned that we've just defined a problem rather than leaving it alone and saying that we have a definition that protects our town and in this case, our single-family housing that we've had for all these years, ever since our charter. So my concern was we made a mistake. We need to go back and look at it. And we had some other examples there that were potential, and we didn't use them. In March of 2025, before town meeting, the city of Fitchburg was sued by the Commonwealth, and they lost to the Supreme Judicial Court on exactly this topic. They were able to defend their community based on their definition of family. And this is something that is not relegated to the state. It's relegated to you, the town of Chelmsford, to us, the town of Chelmsford. We do the zoning bylaws, not the Attorney General and not the state. Now, during the discussion, they talked about the Attorney General came and gave us an example, and she was citing federal law. That's not her jurisdiction. She's supposed to come and challenge us when there are mistakes and we have problems. Well, we haven't had a problem with our definition in all these years since our charter. So we believe that they're making a mistake. We made a mistake, and we need to go back. It won't hurt anything. It won't change any lawsuits that we've had in the last 40 years. We haven't had any that I'm aware of. So we would like to go back and ask the Attorney General to come and give us cases where this is a problem if we need to change it. And the other citation was about 40% of the towns and cities in our state already have a similar definition of anybody living in a building as family. Well, I'm here to tell you, family is familial. You have a mother, a father, you have adopted children, you might even have grandmother, grandfather. This protects the town, and it protects our properties, our single-family housing, our multifamily housing. We know what family is. And the idea that we can change the definition of family just for zoning scares me half to death. We do not change word definitions for particular cases when an Attorney General toddles in and says, hey, we're going to change stuff that you've had for 40 years without a problem. One of the citations as well was that we had a problem where we can't enforce this. Well, if we haven't enforced it in 40 years, what are we going to worry about enforcing it for the next 40? So I think we caused ourselves a problem. We have the potential for anybody, including a frat house moving in next door to me, where I had property that is single-family housing zoned. I don't expect duplexes to go in there. And the town bylaw, interestingly, does have and always had a zoning bylaw that allowed an ADU, a separate 900 square foot or 750 square foot facility to be built in the backyard of someone's, as long as there's family associated to it. And the reality is, we do not enforce whether there's actual real family living there or not. It really doesn't matter. We really don't care unless they're, in the case of frat house, or a bunch of guys living together and making lots of noise, or party going on all the time. Those would be cases where we'd probably want to challenge that. Single-family housing is for single families, not for anybody living there. And that's what we need to get back to. So that's basically all it is. Change it back to what we had for the last 40 years. So, any questions?
Hey, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
for Brian?
When I was a selectman back in the day, I was called upon to talk to a Cub Scout troop that was located in a house that was occupied by two unmarried women who could only afford to live together, and they both had children, and under this definition, they would be in violation. Your change, they would be in violation. And I'm very concerned about where there's an affordability issue around the country, but and certainly in Chelmsford. I think that by trying to define family just the way that a certain group wants it to be defined is not the best way to protect. I understand your situation about fraternity houses. I was in a fraternity.
I had one on my street.
You have one on your street?
We had one on our street until Mr. Cohen's wife, mother moved into that house, yeah.
But the bottom line is that if they are bad neighbors, we have other ways to deal with that.
Right.
And I don't want to discourage people who want to live in town, and the only way they can afford to live in town is by joining economic partnership with someone else who can help them with the rents or the mortgages, and even though they're not related. And I just...
as a lawyer, you understand that relationships can be contractual, they can be living arrangements. All of us had changes to all of our healthcare programs and all the companies in the private business that allowed those arrangements to be made.
But
we have never pursued that.
But you're trying to change that
No,
now.
I'm trying to put it back the way it's been for the last 40 years, and it has never, in my understanding, never been pursued or a problem, especially in the case that you cite. This didn't come up because we had two unmarried couples living in a house. It didn't come up for that. It came up because the Attorney General decided that she's looking at our laws and saying, well, you should change it because the state likes to. This is not how it works. The state is not the person that creates the zoning bylaws. And if it does, then we have another problem where the state will come in here and tell you 5 more zoning articles. We don't like the way you're doing this or that. We've got to stop. This is our responsibility, and the select board should be supporting the residents who live here.
Oh, I am. That's what I'm doing. I think you're trying to create a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
That's what she did. You are correct. She created a solution
No. What
for
you're
a problem
doing
that
with
doesn't
this
exist.
is the same thing.
I'm changing it back. I'm asking the town meeting to change it back to what it has been for all the time I've lived here and 10 years back prior to that. And frankly, most of time, family is family, and this is how we zoned it. The original zoning was to protect the neighborhoods from the outside problems that I described. A frat house, organizations that move in, the guys down the street that were in Mr. Cohen's mom's house. It allows you to look at it and say, hey, we have single family housing.
I just don't think anything material has changed since town meeting last voted on this. And you're asking town meeting to reconsider it?
I'm asking town meeting to reconsider because we've had a program that works just fine for the last 40 years that I've been in the area. And the last 6 months.
Let these two finish.
I've made my point.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to bring up one point that has come up between the two of you is you mentioned a certain family that wouldn't qualify under the proposal that's being brought to us. Now, I know no legal things have occurred related to that, but somebody next door could have a disagreement and bring that to court and say it doesn't match what.
Yeah, but you have to follow the law. The Attorney General had no business coming to Chelmsford and saying, you have to change this law because I think it's a good idea. What we did was we misled town meeting to say, we should change the law because the Attorney General said, well, she's there for 4 years. We've been doing this for 40 years. And the example that the select board member said here was, oh my gosh, this couple can't possibly live here. She does. They do.
They
It's
can,
not
but
been a
what if they
problem.
file a lawsuit against that couple that they shouldn't live there?
Who's going to do that? Nobody did, 40 years.
But it could happen, right?
Yeah, the sun could burn out too.
I guess, but that means that the people who are living and don't have a lot of money could potentially be forced to move because they can't fight a lawsuit.
We
right?
have 12 people living in tents behind Walmart, and the state can't do anything about it. You know what they did? They put up no trespassing signs behind Walmart. Go look, there's 12 people living there. I don't have any hope for the state to solve that. Took 12 years to get rid of the outhouses on 495 in our town.
So Brian, let's keep it to this.
No, I'm just saying that
article.
he's saying that the state may come along and say, hey, we got to.
It's not the state, it's the neighbor next door.
We need to protect our town from the state in this case. That's the reason. Let's switch it back and let the Attorney General come to us and say, here's why you can't have a family definition that we've had for the entire time the town has been here.
I agree with your analysis, David, because I've been around for quite a while, and I've seen plenty of disputes between neighbors over petty things, and it becomes a festering sore. And if one of the parties can use this bylaw change to get rid of a neighbor that's a good neighbor, but just has a disagreement,
It'll never happen. It'll never happen.
I've seen worse. Brian.
Not in our town. This is why our town is designed the way it is. Zoning comes from the town. It's designed that way. She had no business changing our zoning. She changed our zoning with undue pressure. 20% of our town is arguably deeded by the state. Both our 40Bs and the MBTA program represents 20% of our housing projects here. And all I've seen is problems with it.
Okay, does any of the other board members have questions for Brian?
Not really a question, but a statement. So first of all, I want to clarify for the record, I didn't feel misled at either one of the town meetings where this came up. I sat through many meetings to understand why it was being changed. And I understand, I understand where Mr. Latine is coming from, but I don't think this is a definition of how we view what my definition of family would be. This is strictly related to zoning to prevent what my colleagues are saying. And just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that it hasn't happened. And the other part is I don't think if we don't change this back, life around here isn't going to necessarily change. So I'm not sure I want to undo something where the state could potentially, coming into the fiscal crunch we're coming into, bring a lawsuit, because our legal bills are already crazy, and I don't feel they need to be more crazy. So if changing this opens us up for that, I'm a little concerned about it.
Yeah, me
And
too.
that's
That's why we looked at it, and she is actually causing a lawsuit potential here for the anybody description.
And I
because she
understand-
harmed our house. She harmed everybody that has a single-family house by changing the definition out from under us without cause. Town is the one that does this, and she manipulated the planning board to go ahead and make the change, and it was nice, but I believe she was outside of her range of things that she's allowed to do.
Again, I think manipulation, Mr. Latine, and you know this about me, right? I think that's a little bit of a strong language. Do I agree with you that sometimes the state does overreach? Absolutely. I don't like anything being rammed down our throat. And I am not a zoning expert, but I do think the state has a lot more purview over zoning than we think. But
They're
Again,
not
I'm not
allowed to touch our zoning.
I'm not an attorney. The suggestion was made with a lot of backup through 2 town meetings to change this definition. Town meeting voted for it.
We voted
I'm-
no first.
I'm less inclined to now change this back. I can be as simple as, I'm not interested in the potential costs that come with it. It doesn't mean I don't respect your position, and I appreciate the article, and I think people should bring these types of articles if there's a concern, but I'm just not sure I'm in the same place as you are at this point. But thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Jeff, do you have any questions or comments?
Maybe
Jeff.
the fire drill.
Chief is still here, no fire.
Unfortunately, Jeff
He's
isn't in
not here.
Chelmsford.
Jeff, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I think you've all touched on what I was thinking, so I don't see any point to continue the conversation.
Okay, then I will take a motion about whether or not to recommend approval.
I will make a motion not to recommend approval for Article 26.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and this is not to recommend approval, just so we're clear. Roll call vote, Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John? Yes, and I'm a yes. Okay, 5-0.
Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure just when we do those, I think doing them the other way around. You know, not voting to recommend and then we could vote no.
Yeah, but
Just-
just philosophically, I wouldn't make a motion that I'm not going to vote for, so nobody would have made a motion that they would have voted for. Okay, so next up, I think we can have Mr. Kelly Beatty talking about Article 27. Now, is this, okay, this is considered submitted by the planning board and not a citizen petition, is that correct?
Saying Kelly Beatty was a.
Yeah, it's a hybrid, I
Joint
guess.
article.
But it was certainly, I worked with the planning board to craft it and to bring it to where it is, so.
Okay, but it's officially coming from the planning board, is that a correct statement?
Yeah, I guess, planning board and Kelly Beatty.
Okay, all right. So
Think
just
of me
wanna-
as a woefully underpaid consultant. So we're bringing back before town meeting a bylaw proposal that was introduced this time last year. And the reason for doing this at all is the fact that we have on the books an existing outdoor lighting bylaw that dates from 2000. It's a quarter of a century old. I worked it out with Bob Morrison, the planning board at that time. It was basic. It was one of the few in existence at that time, but a lot has happened since then. I should mention that in that bylaw, any fixture, commercial or residential, exceeding 2,000 lumens being the way that you measure the output of a light bulb, would need to be fully shielded, that is, pointing down so that no light escaped above horizontal. And so part of that is that the planning board at that time began asking developers who came before the board to submit lighting plans, which I think hadn't been done up to that point. And that practice continues today, and it's a really great thing. It's a very positive thing. You look at the new developments that are in town, they have very high-quality lighting, and thanks to that goes to the planning board for keeping an eye on that. If we go to the next one. The problem is that it's 25 years old, and a lot has happened in that time. First of all, the original bylaw really didn't have any kind of enforcement mechanism. It just fell under the general purview of the building commissioner. Also, the original bylaw has still some language relating to signs, and we have subsequently superseded that with changes to the sign bylaw, so those aren't necessary. But most importantly is that lighting technology has changed dramatically, and I don't need to tell you that. LEDs are a once-in-a-multi-generational change in the way we light our night. And part of the problem is that LEDs allow people to put insanely bright lights where they were not insanely bright before because they're so cost effective to buy and to operate. And a study in Science, a peer-reviewed study in Science by outdoor lighting professionals in 2023, 3 years ago, showed that across the United States, the rate of increase of light pollution is 10% per year. Now, that's a pretty unsustainable rate. We won't have any stars left at all. And I've been keeping an eye on Chelmsford. We're not at a 10% per year increase, but I would not like to get there. And it's fairly easy to overlight when you have LEDs. So the other thing that has come about is the notion of what we call color temperature, and I'll show you something about that in just a sec. But in any case, we are looking to bring the bylaw to sort of modern standards for lighting and address some of these things that I've been mentioning in a way that is consistent with best practices and practices elsewhere. I guess we can go to the next one. Right. One of the big things that has changed in all that time is a focus by the medical community on the effects of outdoor lighting on us at night. The notion of glare is a major problem in terms of the safety and security, especially of senior citizens. They are less able to see well in the dark corners of their property or where they're walking or where they're driving if there's a bright light source, and you've all experienced those headlights. You know what I'm talking about here. Also, the American Medical Association and others have found that there is a human sensitivity to all of this light at night, and it does cause problems. There's demonstrated cases that too much light at night, enough so to disrupt your circadian system, can substantially increase your risk of certain types of cancers. So for all these reasons, and the fact that there is light at night creates environmental harm for pollinators and fireflies and migrating birds and a whole bunch of things, we want to try to address all of that. So I mentioned the glare. The glare is any light that is below horizontal, but just barely so. And when you go down the street and you see high-intensity bulbs that are really harsh to look at, that is glare. And that is one of the things that has been that a lot of the lighting science is trying to address, how to reduce the glare. And you can reduce the glare, first of all, if you shield all the lights. But it's also more than that. It's just to design the lights correctly. So if I can go to the next one. This is an example of glare. I intentionally did not pick a place in Chelmsford. I could have. I can think of a lot of them. I've seen a lot of them. You probably have too. This is on Nantucket. It's a school. And these are fixtures on the side of a building. And you can see that just from the photo that the glare is intense and probably affecting your ability, because when you see a strong glare source, your eyes pupil contracts. You can't see as well in the dark spaces. It's a well-known phenomenon. In this particular case, they simply took those lights and Nantucket has a very strong, yes, thank you. No, that's fine, that's fine. They took those same lights and simply pivoted them down. And you can see this is a much more easy on the eye situation. Now, two things I want to mention about this. First of all, this is exactly what you do in your homes when you put a lampshade around the lamp. Instead of having to look at the harsh bulb, you're using that lamp to redistribute the light and even it out. The second thing is when you tilt a fixture like this down, you're not reducing the amount of light that's coming out of it. You're simply changing the way that it gets distributed. In this particular case, it takes that same light and it washes the wall with it, and now that wall becomes the light source to illuminate the walkways and the parking lots and so forth. Next one, please. So one of the things we want to address is something called color temperature, which is going to be new for you probably, and certainly for a lot of the town meeting reps. And yet it's not that new. It is something that when you go to a store and you buy a light bulb, regardless of where it is, on the package it will have a color temperature ranking. Basically, the lower that temperature, measured in the Kelvin scale, the warmer the light, and specifically the less blue is in that light. When it comes to all of these effects I've been talking about, blue light is the real culprit. It disrupts our circadian system. It keeps birds from migrating. It really affects pollinators and us as well. So what the bylaw hopes to do is to set a threshold for color temperature. When our town installed the streetlights that we have 13 years ago now, the Johnson Controls provided the town with two options for color temperature of our streetlights, 5,700 and 4,000 Kelvin. And 57 was the preferred choice because you got more lumens per watt. Had we done that, we most certainly by now would have been forced to replace them because of citizen outcry. Our town would kind of look like a war zone because those lights are very blue rich. We ended up with 4,000. That was then. Now the technology is moving that color temperature best practice lower and lower and lower. The town of Pepperell, 2 years ago, maybe 3, redid its entire redid the entire town with streetlights that are only 2,200 Kelvin, and they're very, very easy on the eye to see. Lowering the color temperature does not change the output of the bulb. That's important. Just because you're changing the color, a gallon of paint is the same gallon whether it's white or black, and that's the same situation here. Next one, please. So what we're doing this time, the existing bylaw is a zoning bylaw, which means that any non-conforming fixture installed before the bylaw is grandfathered in. And what has happened in the last 25 years, because it's a complaint-driven bylaw like many of the ones we have, a lot of lights got installed that should not have been. And so there are a lot of places in town with really bad lighting made worse by the fact that now we can use LEDs to overlight these situations. So I have recommended a general bylaw so that we can declare we can declare any non-conforming light to be non-conforming, and then we add a 10-year grace period to convert those over to a conforming fixture. During that period of time, it's entirely likely that you'll need to change that light anyway. I've had discussions with the Chelmsford Business Association about this. They are comfortable with it. I've had conversations with Christine Clancy, and initially we thought that the existing street lights that we have would likely be changed anyway within the next 10 years. Her projections suggest that we might have to push that out somewhat, and so that's why this time the bylaw does not really include municipal lighting. It doesn't include municipal lighting, and we'll try to deal with that on the side. If I can continue, please. So one of the new things that I should have mentioned, there are going to be separate requirements for both commercial and residential lighting. Instead of saying everyone must comply with this bylaw, one of the takeaways from last year is that a lot of residents would not have been happy being told that they have new requirements for their outdoor lights. In particular, that 2,000 lumen level, it's almost impossible to buy a security light below 2,000 lumens these days. And so what we did this time is rather than require residential lighting to be conforming, the bylaw has a series of recommendations that we hope people would follow. And in doing that, we hope to move the needle a little bit, at least on the residential side. So one of the things I wanted to capture, and probably you're not aware of it, but I look at it every time I go down Chelmsford Street, is that there are many, many street lights attached to poles by National Grid to illuminate the parking lots of businesses along there. They're all high-pressure sodium. It's a relatively benign but also relatively inefficient way to light. And my fear is that National Grid is going to come through here, could be any day, could be within the next couple of years, and replace all of those with LEDs. They are egregiously bad lights, and you would not like the outcome. What this bylaw does is put in a requirement that those lights along the public right-of-way would have to be fully shielded and meet these other requirements. Okay, and so let's see, I think we'll come to the last one. Well, I'm sorry, if I could hang up for just a second. We did add a section for enforcement that would give the building commissioner more than just the ability to issue a fine, which is what would happen in the case of most bylaws. And in fact, it's entirely possible to determine really easily whether or not, say you have two neighbors next to each other and one has really bad security lights that overspread to create what's called light trespass. There's now a way to define that, which the new bylaw would do, to establish whether or not a nuisance has been created and give the building commissioner some additional tools to enforce this bylaw. Mr. Negron has been fantastic. I've been with him and talked to him several times. We did a night walk one time during the winter, and I'm sorry, it's a bad cliche, but he saw the light of what we were trying to accomplish here, and I think you would find him very engaged on this topic and willing to see it through. So, from last time to this time, what most has changed is that we have split the commercial and residential. There are now requirements for commercial, there are suggestions for residential, and the municipal has been removed. And so those will, and this includes the street lights. We fine-tuned the requirements for street lights so that our existing street lights, which I have to say are pretty good in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty good street lights that we ended up with, would not have to be changed within the 10 years. That was really important. That was probably the main reason why the planning board and I decided to withdraw at the last town meetings. We hadn't fully appreciated that how tight money was going to be in the years ahead. And we didn't want to saddle the town with a requirement to literally be forced to change its street lights. And we've tweaked the definition of what's allowable so that the existing street lights meet that definition. And then finally, I did mention the enforcement, and I think that's about it. Thank you very much. Chris, did you want to add anything?
Yep. As I mentioned, Kelly worked closely with us to develop this. We are not the lighting experts, he is, so he worked closely with us on this. If this were to pass a town meeting, we would then propose that second article after this to eliminate the zoning bylaw for lighting and refer to the general bylaw.
Okay, I guess one question I have about this is, you note the compliance triggers, the demonstrated nuisance is the one that, it says commercial or residential. So that's really the only way that residents are gonna be required to abide by this bylaw, is that?
Yeah, it's very similar to the current bylaw, where if there is a light trespass on a neighboring property, the property owner would call the building commissioner. The current bylaw doesn't give any standards that the commissioner could follow, so it's pretty much in his judgment. This new bylaw allows him to have standards. He has a light meter now to take the actual measurements. And he can determine from the zoning if there's an infraction. So it allows more enforcement.
Okay,
on the
but
residentials.
absence of complaint, then, like you said, it's a suggested recommendation. I mean, I guess that's kind of not really enforceable. Is that?
That's correct, and that was we had a discussion with town council about this very topic. Of the town council said, well, if it's not enforceable, why include it?
Right.
We want to give residents a notion of what best practices ought to be without enforcing it. The component here is the fallback position for an aggrieved neighbor. It's pretty hard to light with a single set of lights on the side of a building a 1 acre yard lot and not have a lot of that light fall onto your neighbor's property. And sometimes it's not a problem, and sometimes it really is a problem. And so because the residences will no longer be required to follow certain design precepts, we needed to leave something here so that a really bad situation can be corrected by the nuisance. It's not unlike the nuisance provisions that you have for your noise bylaw. So that there's a way for someone to not be forced to put room blackening shades on their bedroom windows because their neighbor wants to light up their yard excessively.
Okay,
It's a fallback position.
right. Does anybody else have questions?
I have a question. You didn't mention motion detecting bulbs at residential facilities, right? Like I have a house that has motion detecting, they only come on when someone's there, right? And I know there's some information in there about that, but I want to make sure that, you know, a neighbor may be annoyed for 30 seconds, but it could be, you know, it could be necessary to make sure that nobody is causing a problem in the neighborhood.
Right. So that is one of the, I'm trying to find where that is.
Something in there, but I don't recall all the details.
There is something in there, and oh, here we are. It's 5.3. If your floodlight in your property is causing a nuisance, a demonstrable nuisance that would otherwise need to be corrected, it can remain non-conforming if it's on for no more than 10 minutes at a time. We felt that that was a reasonable accommodation. I know a lot of people have installed security lights on their houses that would be hard to get to, hard to replace, would require somebody as a professional. The solution there is to either have it be a motion sensor or simply not use it when not needed. I will confess that I have lights on the side of my house right now that are not fully shielded. They light the way to my compost pile, and if they're on 10 minutes in an entire year, it would be a lot. So we were trying to be delicate in how we frame this to not force people to, especially residences, to have to make wholesale changes that they might not be happy having to make.
Okay. I just have one more comment too. I have a post lamp at the edge of my property. It's been there since I moved in. It got run over one time by a car that went down the hill and through my yard and the two other yards. So my initial thought was don't put it in, but then I thought maybe it's a good idea to have it there so people realize they don't hit something. No neighbors have complained about it, but it has a relatively bright bulb because there's no other streetlights in that area to protect, you know, that neighborhood where there's children and stuff running around. And in the summer, they could be out there when it's dark out. So I have that one on from dusk to dawn. That's the only one I run because it does illuminate the street. Is that going to be something that's okay?
So now you're in the street lighting business.
Well, it's lighting my driveway.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I'm being glib. When we introduced this last time, this measurement of 0.1 foot candle that sets the threshold was at the property line. And it became clear that that really isn't necessarily a fair way to do it. And so we've literally moved the goalposts to 15 feet inside the property line of the adjacent property or the wall of a dwelling, the bedroom window, hypothetically, where that measurement would be taken. As for your post light on the end of the street, it wouldn't be under regulation. I would sure hope that you'd think about using a lower color temperature bulb, because that bulb being on all night, every night, is a legitimate detriment to the flora and fauna that live around your home.
Yeah, we didn't talk about light temperature there, so that one's the one that isn't high, Kelvin.
I do want to point out that these specific questions about the residential side is one of the reasons why we relooked at this bylaw this time around and really made the residential side recommendations at this stage. There were a lot of people concerned about how much impact this would have on the residents to have to change things right away. And so what we did is we kind of compromised, made it a requirement on the commercial and industrial side, and then made it a recommendation on the residential side for now. 5-6 years, we'll take a look at it again, see how things have progressed, see how the lighting has changed, and then potentially add some regulations on the residential side or not, depending on what we see.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Aaron?
Yeah, question, a couple of comments. I'll do the comments first. So just to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding anything, but the way I read this is this change, which I know the work, I've seen a couple of these presentations. I know the work that you guys put in to get it here, and I appreciate that because I do think lighting is a bit of a problem. There's no municipal expense to this right now. The bylaw doesn't require any of that, and I think that's important to just remind people that that's the case. There's also no residential expense. There's no mandate for residents. These are guidelines. And I understand your question earlier, but I think putting the guidelines in writing and putting some numbers around them, if it gives people an opportunity to stop and think about it and do the right thing, then, we don't need enforcement because people will just do it.
Right.
Businesses will have an expense, but there's no mandate for it to happen now. As you replace lights, you make better choices over the next 10 years. So we're not breaking the bank on anybody. But what I do have a question on is, how do we handle if there's new construction? If there's not any mandate in there right now where if a new house is being built, you have to abide by these because it's a residential exception and recommendation, correct?
That's right. One of the things I talked to the building commissioner about is not only new construction like that, but also when somebody pulls an electrical permit to do some, install some lighting on the outside that would never ever appear before the planning board. It would otherwise fly under the radar. And we want to try to capture those. He and I have talked about having a handout to give to when whoever is pulling the electrical permit to say, this is the bylaw. And we expect you to, abide, at least try to abide by it if it's a residential. Commercial would be a different issue. I want to just touch on what you said about municipal. It is true that there is no cost municipally being borne. We took out what is now section 108.3, standards for commercial and industrial and multifamily dwellings originally said commercial, industrial, municipal, and multifamily dwellings, and that's gone. I have talked to Christine Clancy about this. Make no mistake, a lot of the lighting that got installed during the Johnson Control contract, like around the schools and parking lots, is really, really bad. And so our hope is that I can work with her. I am not a lighting professional, and I don't pretend to be, but I pay close attention to this stuff, is that we can work to gradually convert some of those over on an as-needed basis to bring those into best practices.
Yeah, I think I think we're doing the right thing. We're taking care of potential nuisance. We're adopting our bylaws to meet the current standards versus 20 years ago. And I think this is one that I would certainly support, so I appreciate all the work.
Thank you.
I'm good.
John, any comments, questions?
No, just thank you for all the work
Okay,
you
Jeff,
and the planning board have done.
Jeff, any comments or questions?
Yes, I asked Kelly this last year. This isn't going to mess with my Christmas lights, correct?
Actually, that's a really good question, Jeff. One of the things that the version last year had was some wording about string lights. String lights in the professional definition, these are what are called cafe lights. They're what a restaurant would put around the edge with a lot of unshielded, just bare bulb things. And it was the finance committee actually that said, how are you going to distinguish that from the string lights that get put up at holidays? And about that time, there was discussion on one of the news groups on Facebook groups. Somebody had the audacity to mention that they thought the neighbor's holiday lighting was too strong and left on too light. And it created a pushback, a firestorm like you can't believe. That is holiday lighting is the third rail here that we wanted to make sure was exempted this time around.
Okay, I've got one other point I'd like to make. I know all of us saw the tragic accident at LaGuardia Airport recently. One of the reports said that when a plane comes out of the cloud, all the ambient light from the airport caused by New York City makes it impossible for a pilot to see the emergency code as opposed to lighting the runway. So I think this is a good idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, I hope we don't have planes trying to land on Chelmsford Street anytime soon, but thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other
Thank
questions?
you for your work.
Okay, Jeff, I'll take a motion about recommendations or not.
I'll make a motion. We recommend approval of Article 27.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll do a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Okay, thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So as I mentioned before, 28 is essentially replacing the current zoning bylaw with the text that you see here, essentially referring to the new general bylaw.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about this article? Okay, Jeff will take a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion. We recommend approval of Article 28.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, so a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Okay, 5-0. Thank you. All right, on to Article 29.
Okay, Article 29 takes the next step from what we passed at last town meeting, the CB light zone. As you may have remembered from then, back in 2022, NEMCOG worked with the planning board to look at a study of all the zoning conflicts in town to see what options we have to mitigate. We have long discussed some of these options, and we do feel that moving forward with the CB light zone in a number of these zoning conflict areas is one of the excellent remedies. So we did create that CB light zone. We did apply it to Kate's Corner initially in the fall of 2025 town meeting. And the current proposal is to apply that zoning to the area on Middlesex Street near the landing at Chelmsford Mills, along with some other small zoning changes. Just as a quick refresher, I'm not going to go through all of this, but the new zoning district was created. We defined ultralight manufacturing. We redefined light manufacturing and clarified that use. We updated the use table. And I will have the zoning handout that I had at the last town meeting. I'll have that again available at the next town meeting. All of the related and required changes to other parts of the zoning for this district were also implemented at that meeting. Just as a reminder, for ultralight manufacturing, the darkened portions are really where we are focusing. The specialized high-value production, like precision fabrication, intricate assembly, controlled treatment, packaging, and distribution. And then it provides examples: manufacturing of precision instruments, medical and dental device manufacturing, small-scale pharmaceuticals, boutique furniture making, small-scale wood and metal fabrication. If you go to the light manufacturing definition that was updated, again, this is processes involving fabrication, assembly, treatment, packaging, and distribution. Examples here are paper goods, textiles, plastic items, wood products, metal products, and larger scale products. So this is the current area that we're looking to rezone. I'll just go through the zones really briefly for you. My handouts. So the CD district is up at the top left under the word parcels. That is the general commercial district. The RM district up at the top is multifamily. You have IA, which is the industrial district over near the waterway and the Middlesex Street Mills. CB to the right of the diagram is the roadside commercial. RC is the residential C district. This is medium density residential. Continuing around the clock, you have CD, which is the general commercial. This is commercial offices, restaurants, entertainment, commercial uses. That's the establishment area. Those mills are in there. You have RC, again, medium density residential, and then back up to RC up top. So that's the current zone. And this is what we are proposing to rezone. So again, starting at the top under parcels, all of that corner off the map remains CD. We are proposing to change that CD stretch under the word parcels 2 to RC, which is residential. That's what we have on the ground there. The multifamily remains multifamily. The IA waterway area will change over to CB Light, and then the residential to the left of that will change over to RC. Continuing on to the right of the waterway, we have towards the river, CB Light. Again, those are all train track areas. The residential to the left of that is RC. That remains that way, and we're looking to change some of that IA corner back over to RC. Thank you, Paul, for the for the cursor. The industrial strip down at the bottom, we are proposing to change to CB to make it congruent with the CB district. All of that down below remains RC. The RC and CD down in the left corner remain as is. And then up near the, where it says remains RC, there's a little multifamily property there that we're proposing to switch from IA, which it is now, to multifamily. And then the rest of those mill areas, we're proposing to change to the CB Light district. That list is the summary of what we're proposing to rezone. It shows what it currently is and what we're proposing to change it to. This change to the CB Light in those mills will afford them the opportunity to put in restaurants, retail shops, artist areas for them to work on, very similar to what they had over in Lowell until recently, the Mill Number 5 area, and a number of other opportunities for those mills that currently don't exist as IA.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about this article?
No, I think this was, I supported the initial zone anyways, and I know that, those mills were very interested and approached you guys doing this. And it's definitely a nice way to start to solve some of the conflicts in town. I just want to ask about specifically where all the railroads are, that's IA. So by changing that to CB Light, it's still grandfathered into the industrial use, but how does that help the town if that were to somehow change?
If that railroad company somehow sells, which I don't think they probably would, it would help the town because the CB Light district is a much less impactful zone than industrial. And so being so close to the water area, I don't know how you would even get most industrial uses in there anyway. So it essentially helps protect that area.
And it's not unheard of to change the zoning, correct?
Correct. And I do want to mention that, I forgot to mention that the North Chelmsford committee also voted on our proposal, and they also endorse it.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, any other questions, comments? Okay, if not, Jeff, we can take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of Article 29.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Thank you, 5-0. All right, we have another one.
So Article 30 is a little bit of housekeeping for our SEAD overlay. We went through that overlay to take a look at updating some of the language based on some projects that we've had come before us recently, take a look at what might need clarification. And so I'll go through some of those changes. So the first one is in the applicability section. Currently, the applicability only looks at the gross square footage, so that the gross square footage does not exceed the original use. However, what we realized is that only by looking at the gross square footage, that could potentially allow some projects in that might be more detrimental to the area, depending on the project. So we've added the language and the square footage of the building footprint. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see why. So our current bylaw with only the gross square footage takes what you have potentially, say on Riverneck Road, where you have an office building with 2 floors and a specific footprint. The current bylaw will allow by right what you would see on the right, because the gross square footage is exactly the same, but as you can see, the footprint doubles. So our current bylaw allows this by right. If you go to the next. With the footprint included, the proposed bylaw would essentially keep the footprint the same to be by right. They could always come before us with a special permit, but as a by right project, it would essentially keep the gross square footage and the footprint the same for a by right project. Under use regulations, we had a couple projects come before us where there might potentially be proposed uses that might not be that compatible with each other. One example was potentially a indoor contractor yard with residences above. Now, depending on what those contractors are, it might be a perfectly fine use, but depending on what those contractors are, it could also go the opposite way. You might have children running around and having some potential conflicts of uses. So what we're doing here is where there are primary uses that are in combination with each other, so 2 primary uses as part of this overlay, it would come before us for a special permit as opposed to allowing it by right, just to make sure that it is 2 uses that are compatible. Performance standards. So for the next 2, it's really about providing the ability for the board to ask for additional data if it needs it. Some projects have become more complex. Some projects, depending on where they are, might require further study. So the language here allows the board to ask for additional studies, noise. It might ask for documentation that the project is following environmental standards. We wouldn't be enforcing those standards. We wouldn't be setting those standards, but we would be potentially asking for documentation that they do comply with state and federal guidelines. So that's what those provide. On 119, the application review procedures, the language here did not include the word structure. It only included the word building. So we wanted to make sure that we covered our bases and included the word structure here as well. The next slide. This one, some of the projects that are coming before us are coming before us with information, and they're essentially putting it on the board for us to determine how they comply with our various components. What we're asking of the projects now is that they provide us that information in the narrative up front. So we don't have to dig deeper. It saves time. It saves both the board and the applicant some time not needing to go through multiple meetings. We're able to get that information up front. The last one is related to potential changes in their plans. One of the things that we realized is that when this overlay was written, we really didn't have the complex stormwater systems that are in place now, or the requirements. So we added here that any substantial changes to the stormwater system or site elevation, if there's a lot of digging or infill, needs to come as a part of the, come before the planning board for review.
Okay, do we have any questions about this article? It looks like we do not, Jeff, so we'll take a motion.
Okay, we're on Article
30.
Article 30.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 30.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll do a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Okay, 5-0.
So the next article came up after the last town meeting. A couple of town meeting reps pointed out that based on our recent changes to the family zoning definition, there was some overlap with the boarding house definition that we currently have. So we wanted to rewrite and reword the boarding house definition to provide more clarity and to make it distinct from the family household definition. We also looked at the state licensing because boarding houses are required to be licensed by the state. And so, you can go to the next slide.
I don't think, it might be it. We weren't able to substitute the
okay.
presentation after the
So if you go to the article then. Yeah. So what we essentially did is we struck the current definition of boarding house and created a new definition that references the facility licensed under the state regulations and added some clarity in addition to that for use cases that might be too close to the family definition.
Okay, do we have any questions about this article?
What would be the impact should the prior article, that was the citizen petition, pass? How would that impact this?
That is a good question.
Well, I try to do those things.
I would have to take a look to see what the old definition is. I don't think it would impact this too much because it does, it would be a very similar type of distinction. We also included the licensing information here from the state, where our older bylaw doesn't have. So I'll take a look at it, but I would likely keep this in. I don't think it would conflict with the old definition either.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Jeff, we'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we recommend approval of Article 31.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 5-0. Thank you.
Article 32. Again, after some discussions that came out of the last town meeting, some of the town meeting reps approached us and pointed out that we actually don't have a definition for bed and breakfast in the town, which means that it is currently not allowed. So the planning board did take a look at it and looked at if this might be a good idea. The planning board feels that it would be potentially a good use for some of the areas in town. It would potentially increase our commercial base. And so we wanted to propose this. We do have specified uses that include hotels, motels, and boarding houses, so this is the next logical step. Bed and breakfasts do have a similar business model. So we did define this. Again, we have the state laws that define what a bed and breakfast is and have them licensed. So we essentially are taking that definition and then revising it for our local area, distinguishing it from boarding houses, hotels, motels, dwelling units occupied by by a family or single housekeeping unit. And then we looked at the use table and we're proposing to allow it in all of the commercial districts. We did have discussion about allowing it in RC, but there was some hesitation about that because of the residential areas might not want to see an increase in traffic. So we figured we'd keep it to the commercial areas for now, see how it goes, and see if it could expand down the road.
Well, there is a limit also to what, 3 rooms being used
Yes.
for that?
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, any questions on Article 33?
Was there a provision in there for a special permit to do this, since you don't have the bed and breakfast in a residential right now?
It is only going to be allowed by special permit in the commercial, not by right.
Not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then we'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve Article 32.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. 5-0. Okay.
Okay, Article 3.
You mean 33?
Sorry, 33. Changes the use regulation for the parking garage and structure and essentially aligns it with what we did with the accessory parking garages in the CBLT and the accessory parking lot in the commercial and industrial areas. Prior to this proposal, the parking garages were by special permit from the ZBA. All of the other parking facilities in our zoning are by planning board. So we wanted to align it so that one board is looking at all of the parking related facilities.
Okay, any questions on Article 33? Okay, it appears not. So Jeff, we'll take a motion.
Okay, make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 33.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
And our final article is another housekeeping article. We have in a number of our dimensional tables a minimum depth of 0 feet. In some areas it's NA, in some areas it's 0. 0 feet is essentially not applicable as a depth. So we are proposing to change all of these 0 feet to NAs in all of our tables. And I'm not going to go through all of these tables.
Any questions on Article 34? Okay, it appears not. So Jeff?
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 34.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a few weeks.
Yep.
Madam Chair, if I may, we've just freed up Chris LaValle for the evening. We have the chair of the Permanent Building Committee here, Tim Powderly, and he has a meeting tomorrow night.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering if we could just do the bid awards for the fire station and the school, so that way we can allow Tim to get home at a decent hour, because we've got a lot of articles and other stuff ahead of us.
We do. Hopefully,
Okay.
they won't all take
Okay.
20 minutes each. but-
Okay. No, this would be pretty quick.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So thank you for that indulgence, because it would be, otherwise it'd be a little while before we get to that.
Okay.
I don't know if Christine, if you want to come up, or Gary too, on the fire station one, we'll start with that. Since, I want to recognize that, both your efforts in terms of the leading the town municipal component for this extensive bid project, the $25 million appropriation project, which we've got great news for you this evening and for the community. So I'll turn it over to you, Christine.
Thank you. I didn't print it out before tonight, but I do have a great report in that we had going back a week ago, the filed sub-bid openings, and then just this past week, the bid opening. And it is a long process, given the size of this project, that you have to go through a whole pre-qualification that took place over a month ago. And so 4 bids were received this past Friday. All bids, our budget really about $20 million. I know we have $26 million, but we also have all these other fees in there as well. So the lowest bid is, Castalga Construction,
Yep.
$17.793 million. And that is the lowest apparent bidder. So really, it's coming in just about almost $2 million under budget, which is great news. There is a proposal in there as well to accept we had 2 alternates in there, but we're accepting the first one, which is changing the siding of the building from aluminum to zinc, which is really a much more durable material and much easier maintenance. And the 4 bids here are listed. You can see that the 4 bids received really were in close, so it shows that this is still a very competitive market. We had 4 bids, which is still great to receive. And we're seeing this on a lot of our projects. The numbers are really close. So with this, and also I know we're looking to get started very soon. The stations have been closed, and so we've already started some test pitting, so we're ready to move forward quickly on this.
And if I could add, good evening, Select Board, Madam Chair, board members, new board members, and somewhat new board members, Mr. Manager. Castagna has a extensive portfolio for public safety projects. In this area, they've done the Westford Fire Headquarters, Littleton renovation, Burlington Fire Station 2, Arlington, and other municipal projects. So they're well-known, well-respected, so certainly glad to bring them before this board.
So what we're seeking this evening, or I'm seeking as manager of the provisions of the town charter, I'm seeking the confirmation by the select board to award the contract for the fire station's construction project to Castagna Construction Corporation of Danvers, Mass. For the construction project, including bid alternate number 1 at a total bid price of $17,931,675.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about this bid award? Okay, Jeff, I think we'll take a motion on this bid award.
Trying to find my paperwork here so I say it properly. Which sheet is that bid? Is that bid on?
You can do it on that memo sheet, Jeff, which was sent out today. It's confirmed the manager's contract award for the Chelmsford Fire Stations 3 and 5 project to Castagna Construction, located at 100 Conifer Hill Drive in Danvers, Mass, in the amount of $17,931,675.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Okay.
Thank you. And then
Yeah, we can do the other ones.
We'll do the other one. It's not here because this one's the South Row School, which is
Right.
also on the Permanent Building Committee's agenda for tomorrow night. And again, I want to recognize Christine. and Gary, even on the previous one, because they also had to do the sub-bids and confirmation with the project manager and so forth, but on this one, we got more good news on the South Row ceiling project. You may recall a previous meeting, we did the roof project. Now this is the interior ceiling component. And in this project, the bids were opened on April 6th. The project cost estimate was $1.4 million. 5 general bids were received. The lowest bid received was from Picard Construction in the amount of $660,378. And as noted in the memo, DPW has successfully worked with this company at the McCarthy and Chelmsford High School kitchen renovation projects. And as was noted here, 4 bids, you can see the pricing, it indicates that, that the bidding market is just described as healthy. So again, we're seeking the confirmation of the bid award for the South Row ceiling project to Picard Construction of Lowell, Mass. in the amount of $660,378.
Any questions on this bid award?
Nope.
Okay, we'll take a motion then. Jeff?
I'll make a motion that we allow the town manager to go forward with the construction bids for the fire station or the South roofs. Sorry.
Okay.
Second the motion.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Great, thank you. And then 2 more quick ones, and we'll wrap up the bid awards. This one is probably for the most important one, which is the mill and overlay. It's DPW road construction for this coming construction season, which is calendar year 2026. Again, despite all this, what's going on in terms of petroleum and everything else, the bid awards, as currently with the bid specs, the bid price was estimated to be about $1.6 million. There were 9 bids received for this work. The lowest responsive and responsible bid was Newport Construction out of Nashua in a bid amount of $1,282,750. Again, we've had not only positive references, but direct experience with them on road construction projects. So again, we seek the confirmation of the bid award for the mill and overlay to Newport Construction, whose corporate address is Nashua, New Hampshire. Obviously, we pick it up at the Westford plant. And again, the bid amount is $1,282,750.
Okay, any questions on this bid award?
Nope.
Okay. Jeff will take a motion.
Right. I'll make a motion that we allow the town manager to award the mill and overlay 26 project to Newport Construction Corporation.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the final bid award, this is now going into aquatic plant management at Freeman Lake and Hard Pond. This was an RFP, which is different than an invitation for bids. RFP is you evaluate, just for the new members, returning member and new member. Under Massachusetts law, you can bid 2 ways. If you don't, in a case where it involves engineering and scientific and other components you measure that aren't price solely based, which is a request for proposal or an RFP. And what happens there is you evaluate the RFP from the bidders with blind to the price, and then if your highest rated one falls within your budget, you award. And in this case, we had an RFP for the aquatic plant management of Freeman Lake and Hard Pond. In this case, only one proposal was received from Water and Wetland. The proposal was reviewed by the selection committee. The proposal is basically for an initial 1-year contract with 2 additional option years. And the bid amount for the initial year of the contract is $44,893, and you can see the option for the second and third year is $46,220 and $47,454. So, and we've worked with this company at Hard Pond and Freeman Lake for a couple of years now. So again, the references and direct experience play out. So again, I'm seeking your confirmation to award the contract for aquatic plant management of Freeman Lake and Hard Pond for the initial year to Water and Wetland located in South Grafton, Mass. in the amount of $44,893, and again, retaining the option for additional years subject to appropriation by the town in future budgets.
Okay, any questions about this bid award? Okay, we're ready for a motion then, Jeff?
Yep, I'll make a motion that we allow the town manager to proceed with a contract with the Aquatic Plant Management of Freeman Lake and R Pond for the first year to water and wetland located at 134 Ferry Street, South Grafton.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Great,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And again, she'll be back with more bids at your next meeting, because it's a very busy bid season for DPW. And, you know, obviously with going into town meeting, there's projects there that are coming up, that some of which we're trying to get done this summer. So returning back to the warrant, we'll go back to the beginning, on, you know, the initial part of the warrant, Article 1, and I promise it won't be as lengthy as the zoning bylaws, because I know we're entering our third hour of the meeting. But again, stop me if need be. All right, so Article 1, there's no motion. It's to hear reports of town officers, so there's no recommendation. We'll provide an update from the Parker Middle School Building Committee, the fire station construction project, and a financial overview of this town meeting. Then we move into a consent agenda. Moderator Lawrence McDonald is requesting 2 consent agendas. The first one is basically financial. There's no other way to describe it. It's these are what we call routine and recurring financial articles. We'll go through those individually because we don't want to be bouncing back and forth, and particularly for those watching and trying to follow this. And then the second one is for land use, utility easements, and street acceptance. So that's what's going to happen in real time. But moving on to our point, Article 2. We always place this after the initial reports and gathering meeting. This is adjustments to the current fiscal year's operating budget that's going to be completed in less than 3 months on June 30th. Obviously, you know, you budget in advance and then life happens, or in this case, bad winter happens, particularly in terms of a lot of snowfall and some significant legal work in the town. So what's happening under this article, and I will note just as an outset, Finance Committee recommends approval of all these articles, and in fact, they mirrored your recommendation on the petition article. So thus far, so I won't, you know, go through, you know, Finance Committee recommendation on each article, because, you know, they've recommended all articles. And again, it just emphasizes the detailed process where we're sort of in sync, meaning we're not going to bring things that aren't reasonable and in line. And I think we've had that history of performance at town meeting. So anyway, this one is, again, adjustments to the current year's budget. We're seeking a transfer of $769,950 from the general stabilization fund and $375,000 from the $400,000 Finance Committee reserve fund to the line items you see listed on the screen. Primarily, the big one you can see there is snow and ice removal, $645,000. Municipal administrative expenses is $230,000. That's a big one. A lot of that is legal services and some public safety. And so I'll go into a little more detail. But those will be the line items that'll be voted. The public safety, again, I'm not going to read you with the slides, but you can see we've had some issues with unexpected overruns on fire apparatus vehicle maintenance. You'll see utilities coming through this because of the utility surcharges. Although we have a fixed contract for supply, we're obviously hitting the market as our residents on the distribution cost increases in the Commonwealth, as well as some of the solar credits, you know, vary year to year, as we've seen it, and you'll see at the senior center in a moment. Again, you can see slight overruns in terms of cruiser replacement equipment and so forth. We didn't budget that we were going to have to do a police chief assessment center and so forth. You can see the big run on snow and ice removal with salaries and road salt and slightly with contractors. If you remember the early part of the winter, it wasn't as snowy, but it seemed like the icing events occurred on nights and weekends and holidays. And so what happens there is we don't bring in the contractors. That's why you don't see that's why you see a disparity between our current crews versus contractors that come in under heavy snowfall. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the senior center electricity was over by $25,000. And again, we have slight overages on veterans benefits, and you know, we had to deal with the absence due to a medical leave by our veterans agent earlier in the year. So And again, just to get, the big one being snow and ice, you know, you can see, this is the first time in 5 years we've gone over on snow and ice. So our 5-year average is about our budget, 1.15 million. It's just that in those prior years, we turned money back. This year, we kind of, you know, the weather didn't hold out for us. We don't maintain a snow and ice, you know, stabilization fund. It just, we put it into the general stabilization fund. And so in this case, we're pulling it from the general stabilization fund. So that's the summary of this article, members of the board. And again,
Okay, any questions on Article 2? Okay, motion, Jeff will take a motion.
Motion that we recommend approval of Article.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
thank you. Article 3 is the Neshoba Valley Technical School District fiscal year 2027 assessment. The amount for our assessment is $4,316,932. We've received the presentation at the budget breakfast several weeks ago, as well as at the finance committee, and our chair happens to be a district member, so if there's any questions, I'm sure that she or I or others could answer them. But, you know, this budget, again, was unanimously recommended by the finance committee and was approved by the Westford Town meeting, which was the first one to go so far.
Okay, any questions on Article 3? All right, Jeff will take a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 3.
Second the motion.
There a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay. Article 4 is the Chelmsford Public Schools budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The amount is $78,150,000. And similar to that, the budget's been discussed at tri-board meetings. The school committee has had 2 meetings where they've gone through the detail of the budget, page by page. They also presented to the finance committee. And again, at this point, there's, again, unilateral support for this budget. It basically is essentially a level service budget.
Any questions on Article 4? Okay, we'll take a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Thank you. Article 5 is the general government operating budget. As you saw in the earlier article, we made adjustments. We vote by category line items. You can see municipal administration, personnel and expenses, public safety, public works, facilities, cemetery, community services, library, benefits and insurance, debt and interest, and excluded. It's a $176.4 million overall operating budget, of which $135 million comes from the property tax levy, 23.8 projected state aid, 13.9 for local receipts, and 3.5 million in otherwise available funds. As we noted earlier, the public school budget goes up by $2.5 million, 3.3%. The other town departments goes up by 3.22%, or 1.25 million to 40.1. Benefits and insurance was the big driver this year, 7.68%, a $2.8 million increase to 38.8 million. So we're almost spending as much in benefits and insurance as we are all the other town departments other than the school department. And then our debt service is up by $550,000 to 10.9 million, or 5.28%. The significant increases, again, health insurance, 1.85 million, our excluded debt service for the fire station project, 885,000, retirement assessment up by $860,000, employee compensation, again, we have not, you see in the asterisk, the firefighter agreement has not been resolved, so it's not in these totals. Our non-excluded debt service is up by $300,000, solid waste and recycling collection and disposal by $150,000, and Medicare tax by $65,000. Again, we're also continuing some expenditure increases for the PFAS treatment plant modifications and operations at Richardson Road, another $100,000 for building maintenance. This is a biennial state election year because what'll happen this year is there'll be a primary election on September 1st, then there'll be the November election, then the April election, unlike this past year where we only had the one election. That's why it goes up $50,000. And then recognizing the trend in legal services and the hourly billing rate, we've raised that budget by $50,000. Again, there are things that don't make the budget, and I think the schools and everyone all acknowledge that, so it doesn't have funding for legitimate requests for additional police officers, firefighters, highway laborers, and safety positions in the town. So.
Any questions on Article 5? Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 5.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Article 6, there'll be no action. As I mentioned earlier, this was a placeholder in the event that, there were to have been an agreement reached with the firefighters union, so there'll be no action under this article. Article 7 is the Finance Committee Reserve Fund. We're once again level funding that at $400,000 for extraordinary unforeseen expenses that may arise during the course of the year that fall outside of a town meeting.
Any questions about Article 7? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 7.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Aaron? I mean, not Aaron. Yeah, Aaron, you can go first, and then I'll go to Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, that's the reserve. Article 8 is the capital budget. John Souza, our Finance Committee Chair, is here this evening. He chairs the Capital Budget Committee. A few meetings ago, with the prior board, John went through the capital budget presentation, which was also discussed at the tri-board meeting and at the planning board meeting. Again, there's unanimity and support from the Finance Committee for the $6.4 million capital budget as presented.
Any questions about Article 8?
No.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
Make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 8.
Second motion.
There a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, we now move on to Article 9, which is for PFAS treatment plant at Richardson Road. Let's go through all these slides. As noted earlier, the plant is functioning as the board receives, periodic reports from our consulting engineer. This is, it raised and appropriate $242,000 to enhance the plant. Again, this is for the PFAS removal. The plant's been operating now for almost 4 years. And as you saw in the previous presentation, the evidence is that it's working well. The DEP asked that the area be expanded to include the area up by the dog park, and that's what this expansion is for, is to capture, because there have been some hits and readings up in that area. And so the installation, it will include a installation and development of a new recovery well, the trenching and piping to connect that thing to the main treatment plant, which is down by the building in the center of the photo, and then sampling. And again, this work will be done this fall.
Okay, any questions on Article 9?
Just before we vote, I was thinking I wanted to do this earlier. I just want to remind everybody that's listening, like I did before I got the opportunity to join the board. We've seen these a lot of times. These have been reviewed, these have been discussed, and a lot of our questions have been asked. So for folks that are watching tonight, we're not just voting these things without following up. We've had the opportunity to do that. So this is our final prep to get ready for town meeting. So if there's any questions, that's exactly the process that's happening tonight.
Right, and the reason that it's done tonight at this late hour is the board changes, and therefore, when we go to town meeting, you have to have the current seated board. So that's why it's sort of this rush, right after the election, between the election and town meeting for the new board to make its votes known. But as you noted, everybody's been following these for months.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I guess we're ready for motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 9.
Second the motion?
Oh, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, thank you. Article 10, now we're moving into the enterprise fund budgets, which are basically self-standing budgets that are accounted for separately and basically the funding, have their own funding source to support their operations. First one being the sewer enterprise. The requested budget is $5.795 million. Again, it comes from sewer revenues. This is an increase of $193,000 or 3.44% from the prior year. Again, basically the increase comes from personnel services and the debt service in the project.
Any
Sewer
questions?
operations.
Any questions on Article 10?
Nope.
Okay, Jeff, I guess we're ready for a motion. Is he there?
Oh, did we just lose?
Did we lose him?
We lost, no, unless he's coming right back in because he is shown on the Zoom. Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are, okay.
Lost for a minute.
Yeah, okay. Article 10.
Yeah, ready for a motion.
Cool. Okay, I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 10.
Second motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yeah.
I'll take that as a yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, Article 11, again, with pertaining to the sewer operations, this is a $1.5 million appropriation that will be borrowed, and this is to upgrade the Clinton Avenue, Fair Street, and Evergreen Street sewer pump stations.
Okay, any questions on Article 11?
Nope.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 11.
Second motion?
Motion and a second, roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Okay, thank you. Article 12, we now move over to Stormwater Enterprise. The Stormwater Enterprise budget proposed for fiscal year 2027 is $1.77 million. It's an increase of $97,000 or 5.81% to maintain our catch basins, drainage outlets, culverts, and detention ponds.
Any questions on Article 12? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 12.
Second motion?
We have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Thank you. Article 13 is again, staying with stormwater, this is the case to purchase a vehicle. This is a rack body truck. It's a request for appropriation of $115,000 that'll be borrowed to purchase that truck for stormwater. It'll also come with a plow to be part of our snow and ice removal operation, to assist in the repair and drainage structures and head walls.
Okay, any questions on Article 13? 13.
No.
Okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion we recommend approval of Article 13.
Second motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, Article 14 is, again, stormwater. This is for drainage improvements along Rainbow Avenue. It's an appropriation of $350,000 that will be borrowed to address the flooding that's occurred on Rainbow Avenue in recent years. Even in the rather dry conditions that we've had, the problem is the drainage system is undersized, and this project would upsize the existing pipe, the outlet, and add manholes and replace the basins to allow the increased flow in compliance with our state environmental permits. And again, this $350,000 we borrowed over 10 years.
Okay, any questions on Article 14?
No.
Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 14.
Second motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, Article 15 moves into the Forum Ice Rink Enterprise Fund. This is traditional article, the town contracts with the company. So again, the amount is level. It's $65,000 to operate the Forum Enterprise Fund for the upcoming fiscal year. And again, it's, the operations aren't funded from the levy for that project. And basically, this provides the town the ability to expend $65,000 in the event something occurred at the Forum. If not, any surplus stays with the fund and becomes part of its retained earnings.
Any questions on Article 15?
No.
Okay. Jeff, will take a motion.
We can commend Article 15.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Article 16 is the PEG Access and Cable Related Enterprise Fund, which provides the funding for the cable television, public educational, and governmental access channels, one of which we're on this evening. And this is a case to address the current year's budget for the enterprise fund. Basically, it would transfer $43,000 from their retained earnings to meet current expenses for the current year. Just to give you an idea of what's occurred, again, unforeseen equipment purchase included having to replace the outdated control room equipment and cameras for this room. You may recall we got an upgrade earlier months ago in this room. They also had to replace the HP server. They had to replace computers and some their TV truck link capabilities.
Any questions on Article 16?
No.
Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Article 16.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Then Article 17, again, moves us forward to the upcoming fiscal year, and this would appropriate $682,000 for the PEG Access enterprise operations for the upcoming year. Again, they're managing in an era where people are cutting the cord to remain self-funded from the assessment from the Comcast and Verizon bills. As you can see, they have some capital equipment baked into this budget. Basically, they're now moving over to the school committee meeting room to do similar work that needed to be upgraded in this room before it totally fails, as well as some other expenses.
Okay, any questions for Article 17?
No.
Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Article 17.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Thank you. Article 18 is no action. Article 19 goes into the final enterprise fund, which is the golf course enterprise fund. And this is only a $30,000 appropriation to, again, meet expenses that may arise in the upcoming year. And similar to the Forum Ice Rink, the golf course is managed by a management company. And again, depending upon weather and level of play, which weather drives, the revenues come in. And again, anything that's not expended goes to the retained earnings. So again, this is level funded at $30,000 for the upcoming year.
Any questions on Article 19?
No.
Okay, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 19.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. The roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Thank you. Article 20 is under the current provisions of state law because the governor keeps suggesting and the municipal association keeps asking them to modify this. We have to vote annually to renew the revolving funds for the various operations such as the senior citizen trip program, the respite care program, the money that we get from the sale of cruises to put back into the cruises for equipment and so forth. These funds are the same level they've been for the current year. So again, this is on the consent agenda. Obviously, it's a perfunctory vote.
Okay, any questions on Article 20? Okay, Jeff?
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 20.
Second the motion?
A motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, Article 21, as we see at generally almost all town meetings, this is the transfer from the sale of lots and graves to the cemetery department for their improvement and development fund. In this case, the amount requested is $60,000. And what they're planning to do with that is tree removal and safety pruning at all 6 cemeteries, installation of a niche wall at Hart Pond Cemetery, and plantings in the mausoleum area at Pine Ridge Cemetery.
Any questions on Article 21? Okay, Jeff will take a motion.
I'll make a motion we recommend approval of Article 21.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
I have to abstain.
Okay. Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That's 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Article 22 is probably not the most popular one because what it does, but it's an essential one. This would transfer $153,000 from overlay surplus to fund property evaluation services to maintain certification of the town's property values by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. Key thing here being overlay surplus. What that is that's the town each year budgets funds that are estimated for what people may receive for property tax abatements by commercial and residential property owners. As the name suggests, whatever's left over is retained as a surplus, and then periodically funds get appropriated from it. In this case, from the for the certification work. And again, we're required by state law before we can maintain the ability to issue tax bills to conduct inspections of each parcel in town at least once every 10 years. And, that involves basically sending people out into the field. In this case, we use a contractor to do the full list and measures on the property. As you can see, this is not insignificant. We have over 13,500 parcels in town, of which over 9,000 are single-family homes, and you can see the other numbers. So again, this is essential because if it's important, because if you don't do it, then there isn't validity and fairness, which is what the state's trying to ensure. That the way the Massachusetts system works is the properties are estimated to be at full and fair market value, and that creates equity and fairness in the property tax system.
Any questions on Article 22? Okay, take a motion.
Motion that we recommend Article 22.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Okay, Article 23, we move into the Community Preservation Fund. As customary every spring, this basically meets the required apportionment of funds into the Community Preservation Fund designated reserves, which under the statute are open space reserve, housing reserve, and historic reserve. The balance would then go into a general reserve. And there's also $50,000 provided annually for the administrative expenses for the Community Preservation Committee. So again, we meet our statutory requirements under the law because the law requires that at least 10% of funds go to those 3 accounts: historic, open space, and housing. And if they aren't expended, then they're kept in reserve. And then the balance is what's known as a budgeted reserve or general reserve that can be met for any of those purposes. So that's what takes place under this. We anticipate at this point that we'll collect $1.67 million in the surcharge, and the state will contribute $255,000. So that's where the numbers come in terms of the $150,000 in budgeted reserve. And this is our debt service in that article. The column to the right is is the last year of that debt service. So something like Roberts Field, it's a $42,000 debt service, and it will get paid off fully in 2028. We're budgeting for 27. And I always say this so people understand, unlike a home mortgage, the town pays level principal, so these debt numbers decline over the year of the debt tenure because you're paying off principal equally over the period. And then obviously, we also have to make some projections because we haven't bonded the center utility project that just got underway. So that's what's requested under this article, is paying our debt service and setting the recommended reserves and the administrative expenses of the committee.
Okay, any questions on Article 23?
No.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 23.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. A roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, Article 24, this is real simple article. It's amending a vote that was taken 2 years ago at Springtown meeting by allowing the $8,000 for the preservation of headstones at Forefather Cemetery to be allowed to be used for the preservation of headstones at all of the town's historic cemetery locations. What had happened was the town had received gifts from an estate that specified for the cemetery. So basically, that work was expended from the donation that this board accepted through the finance director. And now the idea is, well, we have this funding, and there's other work at other cemeteries, let's apply it there. So again, it's just allowing that $8,000 to be expended at any cemetery for preservation of headstones.
Okay, any questions on Article 24? Okay, take a motion.
I make a motion that we recommend Article 24.
Second the motion?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, the final financial article and final community preservation article is a transfer of $74,000 from the Community Preservation Fund General Reserve for the purchase and installation of new handicapped accessible playground equipment at Varney Playground. This is the existing Varney Playground work that was recently done out there. This phase 2 is going in that area as indicated in the caption. And it's indicated here in the blue, and it's what they call a we go round. And basically the point here is children of all abilities can get on to the playground equipment and participate. So therefore you're paying for the structure as well as the surface surrounding it. And again, it'd be a welcome addition at Varney. And so basically the cost component of that is the structure, the put-in-place surfacing, and then the site work and installation. And they did receive a $10,000 grant from the Railroad Foundation to reduce the cost to $74,000.
Okay, any questions on Article 25? Okay. Take a motion.
I second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, so a roll call vote. Jeff? Is he there?
Jeff, we're having difficulty hearing you again.
This.
There you go.
Was that a yes? Okay, Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
All right, two quick remaining articles, the final two on the warrant, 35 and 36. 35 is utility easements for the construction of the two fire stations. Because we're going from overhead to underground conduit, we're required to grant easements to National Grid at the Old Westford Road and Acton Road fire stations as depicted.
Any questions on Article 35? Okay, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 35.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes.
And the final article is the street acceptance, Proctor Road in this instance, and it's to accept the public way known as Proctor Road as our Public Works Director and Town Engineer were working to resurface this road. They came across the fact that the road had never been accepted as a public right-of-way, and it's, again, a major arterial roadway in the town. And so the purpose of doing this is it allows us to increase our Chapter 90 state reimbursement from the gas tax by having increased road mileage. So this road will be resurfaced in the upcoming construction season.
Okay, any questions on Article 36? All right, take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 36.
Second the motion?
We have a motion and a second, and roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, so that's done. Okay, next on our agenda is just a discussion about the screening, the request for applications for the screening committee, for the town manager screening committee. We have in our packet a notice that it's gone out, I think it's gone out to the press, right? And it's posted on the town website, soliciting applications. And then the second page is the one that was sent to all town employees or department heads?
Department head.
Okay, all
No,
department.
we said it to all town employees.
Okay, all town employees.
Yeah.
Okay. My understanding is there's been, I asked on Friday how many applications had been received. At that time, it was over 20, so we are getting a good response. I don't know the quality or who they are or anything like that. And just want to let the community know, anybody that might be thinking of applying, a lot of the work on this committee will be done during the summer. So if you're going to apply, make sure you're not going to be gone for a month during the summer and not be able to participate adequately. It's expected that at our next meeting, which will be in May, either May 4th or May 11th, depending on town meeting, that's when this board will make the appointments to that screening committee. And then shortly after that, the committee will get together and start the process that they need to go through to screen the applications and make recommendations for the new town manager. It's also very important that the members of this screening committee be able to hold the information that they get confidential, because some people who may be applying for the position of town manager maybe have another similar job in another community, and they don't want to make it known that they're applying until and unless they are determined to be one of the finalists. So I guess those are the two basic requirements: to be able to work during the summer and to maintain the confidentiality that's required of the screening committee. So anybody have any questions about the screening committee?
Yeah, Pat, when do we discuss interim?
That's later on our agenda. So we're not there yet. Okay. Next item on our agenda is just the town manager appointment policy. We've seen this a couple of times already. We're in the process, we're just at the beginning steps of that to solicit the screening committee and decide who's going to be on the screening committee. Okay, so there'll be an early May appointment of the screening committee. Also at our next meeting in May, one of the other things that this board has to do is to decide if we want to instruct the screening committee to use a search firm. So that's something that we should consider and vote on that at our next meeting in May. The other thing, as Jeff just mentioned, is, well, why don't we wait on that till we get to that's actually an agenda item, so we'll wait on that till we get there. So that's the policy, that's kind of the timeline, that in May we'll do the screening committee and see how things go from there. So any questions on that? Okay. Next is the town accountant appointment policy. The town accountant, last week, I met with the town manager, the current town accountant, and the HR director. We made updates to the current town accountant's job description to bring it up to date. Decided on a posting for that position, and that posting has been made. I've seen it posted at least one location on the MMA website. The timeline for that is much shorter, as you can probably imagine. We've asked that applications be submitted by the end of this month, and interviews would begin in May. So hopefully we can possibly have a new town accountant within the next several months. So, any questions on that? Okay. Was it next that we were going to talk about the interim? Or was that
No, that you passed over it.
acting?
You passed over it.
Okay, you're right. I was right after that. Okay, the acting town manager, there is a provision in the town charter that if a new town manager is not selected before the current town manager leaves, this board has the opportunity to appoint an acting town manager for 6 months and then for possibly an additional 6 months if needed. I know we have qualified people that work within the town. In fact, Paul gives us a list of 3 every year that would qualify for that position. And I think, it's my opinion that we should probably go to that list to decide who should be the acting town manager. I'm really not ready tonight to make that decision. I think probably also at our next meeting in May, we could invite those 3 people, if they're interested, to come before us and give a 2 or 3 minute presentation. I'd like to know, mainly why they want to do the position, the acting town manager, and as all of them are currently department heads, how the department would function adequately while they would had those responsibilities of the acting town manager. So unless anybody has another suggestion or idea, that's kind of how I would like to approach it.
My only concern is one of those people is the police chief who'll be retiring on.
Well, but
the
I
end of the
still
month.
want to ask him. I
don't think it's fair to ask somebody who's retiring in 3 weeks to say, tell us why you want to be the acting town manager.
But I wouldn't make him come in.
Okay.
Like I said, I would ask him if he's interested, and if he's not, then that's fine. But I would,
How could he be interested if I'm leaving on the 24th and he's leaving 5 days later? How could he be interested in being the acting? I'm not trying to be disagreeable.
Well, I think you are. well,
No,
seriously.
not Pat. I'm trying to be practical. I don't think it's fair to ask a department head or anybody to come before a public body and describe their interest in a position which they'd have to vacate in 5 days.
Why would he have to vacate in 5 days?
Because Chief Spence is retiring.
I understand that, but why could he not continue as the acting town manager if he decided to do that?
Because he's not only retiring as police chief, he's retiring from the Middlesex County retirement system. And he's told me, and I think anybody who's spoken to him, that he intends to not work for the next 3 months. And I can ask him, Pat. I just don't think it's in his. I just don't think he's any interest.
I will invite him.
Go ahead and ask him. But I'm just trying to be all right. Fine. I wasn't trying to do anything other than avoid confusion. Sorry.
Well, okay. Anybody else have any comments?
No, there's only 2 then, potentially, that would be.
Well, no, she thinks that she's going to convince Colin Spence
No,
to retire.
that aside, I was just curious, there's only 2 right now that we know that are interested, is that what you're saying?
I don't know that they're interested.
Oh, I thought you said they were. Sorry,
No,
that was my misunderstanding.
No, that's not what I meant. We have those 3 on Paul's list.
Okay.
And those 3, I think, would all make good candidates.
Okay.
If they're interested. That's the thing. That's the big if. So if only one of them is, it'll make an easy decision. If 2 of them are, then it'll be a little bit.
And what's the sorry?
And what's
the process if they either decide that they are interested, but it would interfere with current duties, or, in other words, if we come up with nobody, what are we going to do? What's the process after that? Do we know? If we don't have to discuss it now, but I would like to know what the path forward is after that.
Yeah, that was where I was leading, Aaron, is if they're really interested, that's good, but if they're not, then we have another problem that we have to mitigate sooner rather than later, right?
Right, and if they're not, then, my preference would be to put the call out to other department heads so that we keep it local, because they're more likely to know. And if that also doesn't work, there are businesses, there are consultants that would be more than willing to fill in for.
Okay.
6
Yeah,
months.
you could probably find a retired town manager who'd be willing to do it. That's generally what happens as well.
Yeah, okay. All right, so any questions, other comments on that? Okay. Okay, next. All right, earmark requests.
Yeah. Madam Chair, members of the board, back in February, the board discussed potential earmarks in the House version of the fiscal year 27 state budget. And that list, in a more detailed form than what you see on that initial memo in February on the screen, was distributed to the legislative delegation. The House of Representatives is scheduled to take up the budget this month, and we'll be voting by the end of the month. So this is now the time that we pivot to the state Senate and make similar requests. And again, it's a different board, but the requests are the same. And then how the process works is you don't want the same earmarks in both budgets, because that's all you'll get. The idea would be if you get different earmarks, you have the chance of getting both, or multiple earmarks in the request. So what we've shown you here is this is our history. It was roughly $250,000 over the last 3 years, and then this was the abbreviated list of that we sent off to them back in 27 of $280,000, and basically we allowed the representatives to choose what it is that they're funding, and again, my thought would be to send similar, more detailed, descriptive memo to listing to Senator Barrett's office. We did use this for the supplemental state budget. So, for example, Senator Barrett submitted the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail maintenance funding request in the state supplemental budget. So obviously that would be dropped out of this, and then they could choose to fund, the senator could choose to fund other items of his preference in the state budget, operating budget. What we tend to see is, why we do this is the senators or representatives tend to have more of a connection to certain items than others. So for example, we know that Senator Barrett is very much involved with climate change and global warming, and so therefore he may be more enclosed to fund shade tree planting as opposed to council on aging, meals and so forth. So that's why we give them those choices. And we've for years have seen Representative Arciero choose the senior citizen meals and so forth. So again, what I'm seeking is your authorization on your behalf to submit this list to Senator Barrett's office, because again, they'll be taking up the budget next month.
Now, aren't the design improvements to the center traffic signalization already on that bond bill?
Yes, that was in the House side, yep. So that will be removed as well.
Okay. All right, anybody have any comments, questions about this list?
No, so we'll be submitting everything less those 2 line items?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I'm good with it.
So do you want a motion for that, Paul, or do you just, I mean,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
is...
You can just say the board, its consensus is to submit the list, okay.
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 All right, next we have, the policy, the new policy that's been
It's
proposed.
followed from our audit, and I'm going to ask Finance Director John Souza, who drafted this, and followed this up from our last audit report.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Town Manager Cohen. Congratulations to both newly elected board members. Tonight I'd like to propose the addition of a new section to the town's financial policies that covers the subject of custodial credit risk. And just to provide you with some background, as the town manager said, last December, the state and local government manager of our audit firm, Clifton Larson Allen, when they presented the fiscal year 25 audit report to the select board, one of the recommendations they made was that the town consider adopting this type of policy. And so after researching policies with different towns and then discussing with the town accountant, Darlene Lucia, this policy was developed and then reviewed with the audit firm to make sure it met the criteria that they were looking for. So just to describe it to you, there's basically 3 parts. And the first part is it requires the treasurer collector to review each financial institution where the town has town funds on deposit quarterly using a recognized bank rating service. So to give you an example, we subscribe to VeryBank, which is a well-known industry subscription firm. And what they do is they look at the bank's capital structure. So they look at their liquidity, their assets. They note if there's any federal agency enforcement actions. So the benefit to the town of that is I, as treasurer collector, wouldn't have time to monitor all those federal agencies, see if there's any FDIC actions taken. However, by using this service and using their recommendations, I can quickly see if there's any banks that we might do business with that are headed for the trouble zone. And they use a very easy monitoring service, monitoring a ranking similar to a traffic light: green, yellow, and red. I can honestly say I've never seen a bank that we've done businesses be in the red zone. Maybe during a deep recession, a bank might teeter towards yellow on occasion, but then they take actions to correct the problem. So it's just something I just want everyone all the members of the board to know that it's something that we do monitor already. The second part requires the Treasurer Collector's Office to reconcile the monthly bank statements that we receive in a timely manner. And so the reason that, I know it sounds, obvious, but the reason you want the office to do that is it identifies any, errors or discrepancies that might be on the bank statement or the investment company statement. And again, I want to assure the board that in the nearly 19 years that I've been finance director treasurer, my staff and myself have always reconciled the statements in a timely manner. So it's not an issue for us. And then the third part deals with securities, which for someone that's not in financial, it's only going to be certain accounts such as a stabilization fund, maybe some trust funds. So basically bonds, stocks, things of that, notes that we might own must be registered in the town's name and under the town's federal tax ID number. And the last couple of sentences of the policy, what it does is it makes an exception to that rule for two pooled investments that are managed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that we participate in. The first is abbreviated PRIT, the Pension Reserves Investment Trust, and that's where the town's OPEB Liability Trust Fund is invested. And then the second one is called the MMDT, the Mass Municipal Depository Trust. It basically functions like a money market mutual fund, but it's overseen by the state treasurer, and it's managed by Federated Investments. And this is where we keep a lot of our smaller trust funds. And so the reason they make an exception to that is it's kind of similar to like if you or I own a mutual fund, we receive a statement that gives an exact number of shares of that fund that we own, and that's what we get from PRIT, and that's what we receive from MMDT. But it's not feasible for them to list all of the thousands of investments they own. You can go to their website and you can look at a report just to see what they own, just like we would do as mutual fund investors. We can go to someone's materials online and look at it all, but they don't list it all in a statement. So that's the reason that the policy has a carve out for those two pooled investments. But that essentially explains the policy, but I'd be glad to answer any questions from the board.
Any questions? Anyone?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I think this is what we're doing is we're just writing it down on the policy, because I can't imagine these are not getting done already.
Yes, exactly. And that's our office is already doing all these and has performed them for many years. It's just, this is, I think it's a way to lessen risk. The audit firm likes to see things written down. And I think, Standard & Poor's, as our bond rating firm, likes to see things written down. And
Yep, that makes sense. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions for John about the policy?
Good.
Okay, as is our policy, we will bring this forward at our next meeting. I'm sure there's not an urgency to get it implemented
great.
Right away, and we'll vote on it then.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next is Select Board liaison and voting member assignments. This is just so you have a list of what liaison assignments are available. I don't think we're going to do anything on this tonight either. There's a list that has all of them blank, and then there's another list that lists all the current assignments for those. So if everybody could kind of take a look at what you have now, if you want to keep those, and the new folks, if you want to make some notes about what you might like. And yeah, maybe if you could, send those to me sometime in the next, say, week or so, and then by our next meeting, I can come up with a comprehensive list that maybe will make everybody happy.
I guess my question is, do the people who already have certain assignments want to retain those assignments? Because I don't want to step on anyone's toes and take something that, for example, Aaron or you or Jeff enjoy doing and saying, I want to do that.
Mhm.
Okay? So if there are ones that, any of the three of you really like a lot, and, that's fine. That's my feeling.
Okay. Well, I guess what I would say then is, if you could, note the ones that you like, and I can, if they're mine and I want to give them up, I will. Or then there are some that don't have anybody on them right now, or a Pat Maloney one on those. And if you say you really want one that Aaron has, then I'll just check with Aaron and see if he's willing to give it up, or if he wants to keep it. And so we'll give, if there's a contest, then the person who currently has it will win.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's good to, change them around once in a while. Any other questions on that?
Not yet. No,
Well, that being said, even if on, bring those meetings because they're public.
I couldn't understand a word you said. Can you say that again?
I was just saying that if you're on goes about going,
That was.
and we vote on.
I don't know if you can clear that out. I heard less that time. It's really breaking up a lot. Want to try one more time?
He's trying to log back in.
Come in.
He's shown on the Zoom thing. Jeff, Christine Bruce says he's logged in, but he has no mic connection.
Okay.
She
Well,
can't help him at the moment.
yeah, there's not much we can do about that.
He may log out back in.
Yeah, I guess that's what he's trying.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't we move on? There he is.
There you are.
You want to try again, Jeff?
Yeah, I was just saying, even if they get into a certain committee, you're stuck to it and learn about what's going on and report it back to us. And they are,
You might want to try turning off your video, Jeff. That's the only thing we could think might help. Your bandwidth issue.
I mean, in our packet, I don't know if this is something you were getting at, but in our packet, it does mention that, anybody can attend any of the meetings, any public meeting. It's just that these assignments are meant just to be there in case that committee itself wants to reach out to the liaison to report something back to the full board. And And it's.
Yes, that's exactly what I was getting at.
Okay, and it should be clear too that just because you're a liaison does not make you part of that committee, so you should not vote, and basically you should be just like any other observer to the meeting.
Yeah, these are mostly committees.
Okay, so I guess we got through that. All right. Next one is elect a select board representative to the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments. This is something that is required by the NEMCOG bylaws. It's supposed to be done at the first meeting after a new board is seated. I have been the NEMCOG representative for many years now. I do feel that I'm effective on that council, particularly because I'm part of the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is instrumental in programming federal funds for transportation projects in the region. So I would appreciate the support of the board to continue my service on NEMCOG.
So do we make a motion now?
Yes.
Not to take anything away.
I'll make a motion that allow Pat to continue her role as our representative.
Second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so do a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, and next we have our proposed meeting schedule for the upcoming year. Paul, if you want to tell us how you came up with this?
Yeah, again, a lot of what we do is cyclical. So again, just sort of walk you through it. We try to have two meetings a month. Generally, we have to navigate around the Monday holidays and general holiday periods. So again, if all goes well with town meeting finishing in 2 sessions, we would meet on May 4th. If town meeting were to go to a third session, then you'd just in the back of your mind have that we would go to the 11th. And the reason is because of Memorial Day in May, the only way you're going to get 2 meetings in would be the 4th, 11th, and 18th, because the 4th Monday is the 25th, which is Memorial Day. And as we noted earlier, there's a lot of things that you've got to be appointing and doing in May, so you don't want to just go with, we'll just go with the safe thing and pick 11th or 18th. All right, so that's May. June, again, you see 3 dates, and again, you're trying to pivot there around the 4th of July holiday. So again, you can go the every other date, you jump over Memorial Day Monday, so you're back to the second week, which would be the 1st. Traditionally, that's the time the board would do its goals. The 15th is, the board has, recent years has met every 6 months with its legislative delegation. You also have to do the annual board and committee appointments, because most of those appointments run to the fiscal year. And then the 29th, again, pivoting around the 4th of July holiday, it's also, you need to be meeting, because the finance director is going to be going out with bond counsel and our borrowers to do the bond sale for all the items that were maybe approved at Springtown meeting, including the fire station and so forth for permanent borrowing. So then that brings you past the 4th of July. And generally, the board has tried to go with a lighter schedule in the summer. And so recent years, we've gone with 1 meeting in July. So that would be on July 20th. What takes place in that time normally would be the town manager and town accountant's performance appraisal. Obviously, your town accountant will still be here, and you have to adjust her compensation level with the fiscal year. So you would do her performance appraisal in July. Then you move into August, and now you're sort of looking at the Labor Day holiday at the other end. So again, you'd meet the 10th. So you can see the 3 weeks between the 20th and August 10th. And then 2 weeks till August 24th. Then you're pivoting, and that's when you start seeing the drafts of the fall town meeting warrant, because the board has to sign the warrant at its first meeting in September to meet the third week in October's fall town meeting date as per our bylaws. So again, you get the drafts of the warrant in your 2 meetings in August, and then you're signing it. Again, the first Monday after Labor Day is the 14th this year. So you'd sign the warrant on the 14th of September. Then you'd meet 2 weeks later to make your recommendations, because you then run into the a meeting on October 5th, which is the following week, because you're pivoting around the Columbus Day holiday and the fall town meeting date, which are subsequent weeks. So then, again, assuming town meeting only goes 2 sessions, you meet the October 26th date. which, again, then you go into November, and the reason you're gonna meet in November, again, you're pivoting around Thanksgiving, but you've gotta start your property tax classification hearing, which has a night of hearing, then it's continued, and then you do the vote. And the reason you have to do that in November is so that the tax collector, who's our finance director, can get the bills printed and issued by the end of December. So again, those meetings would be in November. And then in December, you've navigated through Thanksgiving, now you're looking at Christmas, so that you would meet the first meeting Monday in December, which again is traditionally the time board has its second semi-annual meeting with the legislative delegations, as well as your annual license approvals, because those run on a calendar year for all your liquor and common victual licenses. And then there's typically been a tri-board meeting that second Monday in December, which is the school committee, select board, and finance committee, to discuss the upcoming fiscal year operating and capital budgets. Then you'd come back the following Monday, so 3 meetings in a row in December for the audit presentation and final report on the ARPA monies, because those have to be expended by the end of the calendar year by the federal law. You then navigate around the Christmas and New Year's holiday to meet on Monday, January 11th. And then when you come back after the King holiday on the 25th, you start doing your first draft of the Springtown meeting warrant. 2 weeks later, you do the second draft and presentation of the operating capital budgets by the town manager. And then you navigate around the President's Day holiday to sign the warrant for the spring annual town meeting and town election. And then you have your 2 meetings in March, which are spaced 3 weeks apart, because you got to be navigating around the election day. You don't want to be meeting the night before the election.
Right.
And therefore you then would then have the reorg meeting on April 8th, and then a year from now, this meeting on April 12th, 2027. So that's the outlay, and is always noted, this schedule can change, subject to reality or happening. So, but that's sort of a good outline. And the reason is you particularly the staff, they need to be out a couple meetings in advance if they're scheduling license hearings and bid awards and other items. So that's the best we can give you at this point in time in terms of an overview. Again, most importantly for summer vacation stuff, 1 meeting in July, 2 meetings in August. Go from there.
Yeah, and as Paul said, if we need to adjust, and if in the summertime nothing's there, we can always skip a meeting if that's more.
And then also realize that at some point, as was noted earlier, at some point you're going to be having a special meeting to be interviewing town manager candidates and also dealing with the town accountant position. We did bid awards.
Are we to your reports now, I think?
Yeah, real quick. Just a few items as we enter our 4th hour. Just put this up in case. Okay, the first one, again, a lot of this is grant awards, and again, I want to recognize the effort by department heads who make this possible and bring money in that otherwise either wouldn't get done or would be paid for by the taxpayers. The first one is our fire chief has obtained a $24,380 grant from the Commonwealth Department of Fire Services for public fire safety equipment for the upcoming year. And Chief, I'm drawing a blank, that is for replacement of thermal imaging cameras, yeah. So again, want to thank the chief and just recognize that and recognize the effort. The next one is our sewer rate relief award, and this has been an annual one that's been funded by the Commonwealth, and our finance director, John Souza, has been applying and receiving funding from this grant program for almost 20 years. This year, sadly, the amount is $804. It's the lowest amount we've ever seen. But we're eligible for it, so it's $804 that otherwise people would be paying in sewer bills. They ought to call it the MWRA Sewer Rate Relief Reward, because you can see the funding that's approved of $1.5 million, the MWRA gets $1.234 million. So obviously what's happened over time is the money that the state's been able to put into this program is diminished. But, if you don't get the $804, it's going to go to somebody else. So again, thank John. I mean, over the years, in all seriousness, we've received well over six figures, multiple six figures on this. And, also our sewer debt is declining, so that's another reason why the award amount is so minor. And then next one is...
A typo.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I thought it was a typo.
I thought it was a typo.
You found a typo? Oh,
No,
okay.
he thought it was.
I thought it was a typo. No, it's not a typo. The next one is from work done by our let's make sure I get that. Our community development director, Evan Belansky. He obtained a hazard mitigation grant award in the amount of $35,000 from the Commonwealth Department of Administrative Services, which is needed to update our hazard mitigation plan. We're required to update our hazard mitigation plan every 10 years in order to comply for federal relief money or state relief money. It's also a good thing for practical that you're updating your hazardous plan. And so Evan received that grant award, again, since our last meeting. As I noted earlier, we also had Senator Barrett's office, Senator Barrett, through his office, submitted a $25,000 earmark for the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail maintenance, which again was suggested by our Public Works Director. That was included in the supplemental budget that's now in conference committee. So I think my discussion with the staff is it's expected that this money will remain and come out of the project. And then a couple other things to note. The Northern Middlesex Council of Governments recently held a meeting hosted a meeting with Nashua and Lowell officials regarding the possible extension of the commuter rail from Lowell to Nashua. That was on March 31st. This is a beginning of a long process. The initial work, this rail trail expansion issue has been on and off in the 20 years I've been here, and probably was before that. The idea is to extend the commuter rail from its terminus in Lowell. Ideally, initially, it was up to the Manchester Airport, and even beyond that, it was to Concord. But more recently, it's been to the Manchester Airport. The idea that you could have transit travels going from the airport to the other airport, as well as those coming. In more recent years, the University of Lowell has expressed an interest in having a rail stop at its campus near Pawtucket Boulevard, near where the Humane Society is, if you're familiar with that area of Lowell. So why I'm notifying you this effort has now been truncated by this current iteration to extending it to Nashua, which would involve obviously consideration of stops in North Chelmsford, Tingsboro, and Nashua. There'll be another meeting taking place in May, and again, there's a lot of work that will have to be done on this. And NIMCOG is pursuing through state funding to see if they can fund a feasibility study, and that description is in here. And obviously in the Nashua end, they're trying to get funding at their component. So it's just more to increase awareness of this board. It's also was discussed at the Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee, because commuter rail stop there has always been a consideration out there. So again, more to come. And as we know, Pat will continue now to serve on NIMCOG, and I'm sure if anything comes out of it from that way, or from our planning board rep and our alternate, I did reappoint Doug Bruce as our alternate rep per requirements of the NIMCOG bylaws. Again, just bringing you up to date on what's going on with commuter rail expansion efforts. And I'm nearing the end. I have the monthly double poll report. The thing to note there is the numbers are nominally much higher than last month, but this is what happens when they take on a new project. So we have a total now of 85 double polls, which is a massive increase of 24 from the prior month, even though 4 double polls were removed, and obviously 31 being added. And where it occurred, as I noted in my memo, is if you go out Route 3A or Tingsboro Road at the Tingsboro-Chelmsford line, you will see new, taller utility poles on both sides of the town boundary, as well as some of the adjacent side roads. This obviously was an effort by National Grid for pole replacement and probably electricity power enhancement, because the poles are taller, they have the three-phase across on the top. The most recent time we experienced this was in the center here on Billerica Road in front of this building to the center, and National Grid did move relatively quickly with the other utilities to remove those double poles. So we'll hope that that will take place with these double poles in the town as well. I did reach out, as I noted here, to Comcast and Verizon, who have, over 30 double poles with a ball. They're next to move on the projects to keep the ball moving and get these double poles removed. Verizon's usually the last one to remove, as well as that National Grid can help us with these third parties, because you can see there's 36 third-party double poles, which are provided, through National Grid. So that's it, and then my,
Real quick.
Yeah.
Just so we don't have to come back to polls.
Yeah.
First of all, I know it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
But I noticed the other day, and I knew we were talking about this tonight, there's the double pole here in the corner of Wilson.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it's a line of sight issue.
Okay.
So when you try to turn left, which I make that left often enough, there are times where like I either have to lean back a little bit, but then I can't see on the right. I have to lean forward, and now again, I'm not saying it's like a major safety issue. It's going to be done tomorrow.
No, but I can ask them to prioritize it.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I would just think
Prioritize.
line of sight ones would be a concern versus something along the side.
Okay.
Just a thought.
I will reach out to them on that. And then the last thing that I wanted to inform you about is, speaking of double poles, as I provided you with this copy of this lengthy Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities notice, but the important thing to note is they are conducting hearings on numerous pole connection issues, including double poles, over the next several weeks. I have not seen a summary from the Mass Municipal Association that could put in English what it is they're considering, but I do know that this is one of the governor's priorities in the Municipal Reform Act and others, to basically have a time limit. I think it's 6 months on double pole removal, and therefore that the actors have to perform their work in a timely manner, because if you gave every attacher 6 months, it'd be 3.5 years. So I think there's an effort here to hopefully address this longstanding issue of double poles. So that concludes my report for this evening, Madam Chair.
Okay. Can you have an appointment?
I do have one appointment. It's to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and it's to appoint Wesley Mather, for a term ending June 30th, 2028.
Okay, any questions on this appointment? If not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that appoint Wesley Mather to the bicycle or the bike path.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so a roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Yes.
Sean? And I'm a yes. All right, next is meeting minutes from March 30th meeting. The folks who were here and participated in that meeting, hope they had a chance to look at those minutes. And if there are any edits, corrections?
Nothing
All right.
jumped out.
All right, so take a motion on that.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 30th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'm yes. Thank you. All right,
So we just leave this here?
Yeah, I'll take it.
that it? All right. Liaison reports. John, do you have any?
Not yet.
You don't have any assignments.
How about you, Dave?
No.
All right, so we have two with no liaison reports. Aaron, you want to go next?
Yeah, the only meeting I was able to attend was the last planning board meeting, and it was a lot of prep for the the zoning articles that are coming up and some of the future work they're taking on. We're still pursuing the managed growth strategy. John and Mike are co-chairs, and we're in a little bit of a limbo right now, waiting on some grant funding that Evan is writing for us to get some money from NIMCOG. That work will continue on, and that's I'm pretty eager about that. But that's the only report I have for tonight.
Okay. Jeff, anything?
Yeah, recognizing the late hour, I will spare everybody the weekly begging for members to join the parade committee. But I did want to mention one thing that's about the cemetery. One of our committee members, Kirk Marshall, lost his mother last week, and I want to make sure this board extends their condolences to the family.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I have a few. This week is when the author of Chelmsford's One book is going to be at the library on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Ben Shattuck will be there talking about his book, and if you have the book and you want him to sign it, he will be here to do that. They ask that you register. You can register by going to the library website. Also, condolences to the Weisfeld family. Barbara Weisfeld passed away this past week. You may remember her as the wife of Select Board member Stuart Weisfeld, but she also served as a library trustee, so she was a town elected official, so condolences to that family. And I also want to mention, last week the Chelmsford Police Foundation had their annual award ceremony, and they awarded the following staff members different awards. There was a Meritorious Service Award for Life-Saving to Patrol Officer Corey Detremont, Meritorious Service Award for Outstanding Performance of Duty to Lieutenant Stephen Fredericks, Sergeant Matthew Fernald, Detective Jeffrey Blodgett, K-9 Officer David Leo, Detective Brian Jubilee, Patrol Officer Ellie O'Keefe, Detective Derek Hill, Patrol Officers Christopher Robinson, Robert Reardon, Andrew Robinson, and Landon Robinson. A Meritorious Service Award for Outstanding Performance of Duty and Community Engagement with Social Media to Patrol Officer Aidan Gillis, and Community Appreciation Awards to School Resource Officers Daniel Sullivan, David Lindstedt, and Ashley Rokas. And that is all I have for this evening, so I'll take one more motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second the motion.
All right, a motion and a second, so last roll call vote. Jeff?
Absolutely.
Aaron?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
John? And I'm a yes. Thank you. We are adjourned.